It's more like
And
15 seconds of fame nowadays.
oh hell yeah.
But speaking of small towns and big towns, what about Tombstone, man? Let's make a smooth transition.
Smooth transition. All right. All right. I think we're ready.
I think we're warmed up. I'm gonna start that timer right now, and we're going.
All right, the timer just started. Hey everybody, we are. Thank you for listening to Side by Side. We're now doing season 2. The sequel.
Yeah.
All right. So we're just.
Hey, and for everybody that's watching, look at us now.
Yes.
We're moving on up in the world.
As you can see, would you like to describe how we're moving on up?
Oh yeah. So our production value is how you would say going through the roof.
Yes.
CJ over here was kind enough to send me a microphone and a stand and everything for my merry birthday. All right, that my birthday was right around Christmas, and he was kind enough to send this my way, and now we're. Oh man, I hope I'm coming in a lot clearer.
Oh, you are, dude. Now. You sound
good.
Hey, you're welcome. You know what? I just had because I had to set it up for 2 people at my house, so like I could have someone in front of me. But then the pandemic hit, so I had that just in my garage. And I was one day when I was sitting down the other day, and I was looking at it, and I was like, well, not yesterday. I think like 2 months ago, I was like, I think I should send it to Ben. And then like a month past, I was like,
sorry to break the illusion if you thought we were in the same place.
Everybody, yeah. Now it does. Now it definitely sounds we should sound like we're in the same spot. But I was looking at it and I was like, you know what? We gotta send out. But hey, you know what we should be talking about? Season 2, because we're doing something a little different. We're cutting down our long narrative just a little bit. Yep. Ben did say we have a timer now. We're gonna try to keep this around 2 hours and a half. Yeah. So, we already did our little warm-ups, and it's time to jump into what season 2 is all about. And it's going to be a little bit of a lot of same with the season 1.
We're also in the new year, right as we ended season 1, we got in that last day, man. We really did some cramming, and we got in Jurassic Park and Hackers. And now for the new year, we have 2 movies that are, I mean, honestly, this is a great side-by-side. They came out a year apart, so the productions had to be close to around the same time. But we're doing Wyatt, Earp, and Tombstone. Or Tombstone came first, but yeah, that's what we're doing.
We're jumping into. So just like Ben said, we capped off season 1, a little sci-fi. Then we decided to just go with it. What is this country? Cowboy? Western. There we go. Western. I was gonna say that. Yeah. Is a spaghetti Western would be more like a slapstick?
That'd be more of like a Django Unchained.
Okay, that's
more
of a modern.
Well, that's not even really a spaghetti Western. It would be more.
Would that be a modern day spaghetti Western, Django?
Yeah, that would be like a modern day spaghetti Western. A spaghetti Western's like, so I think it came from like an Italian Western, is where that's why they call it spaghetti Western. Yeah. So you have like that. I'll get away from that. That kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a little slapstick, right? Like sound effects and
the sound effects. And it's going to be like the 60s, 50s, 60s, really where you're going to get some of the spaghetti westerns. And this is all. I have no research on this, to be quite honest with you. This is just my guess, my best guess. It's not like I don't have a computer right in front of me. Let's type this in real quick.
Well,
kind of get an idea.
I will say that I watched. I went in chronological order. I watched Tombstone first. Tombstone is 1993. It's rated R. It is 2 hours and 10 minutes. It is an action biography drama. It was released on Christmas Day, 1993, December 25th. A successful lawman's plans to retire anonymously in Tombstone, Arizona, are disrupted by the kind of outlaws he was famous for eliminating. This was the directors George P. Cosmatos, Kevin Jarre, and then written by Kevin Jarre, stars Kurt Russell, Val Kilmer, Sam Elliott.
So right off the bat, I'm going to throw you some pretty fun trivia your way.
Go for it.
Kurt Russell actually directed a good chunk of this movie.
Oh,
Yeah. Uh, because Kevin Jarre, we're going to go with, yeah, Kevin Jarre. He was the initial director, and I think something happened. And then the George, I know it's not comatose, but that's what I just, every time I saw it, I was like, comatose, George comatose. Um,
Cosmatos.
yeah. He just kind of came in. That's actually one of the like on IMDb, that's one of the trivia things on there. It was that he, yeah, I'll read it right here. In an interview with True West magazine in October 2006, Kurt Russell admits after original director Kevin Jarre was fired, he directed a majority of the picture. According to Russell, George P. Cosmatos, how'd you say it?
Cosmatos or Cosmatos.
Cosmatos. Yeah. Served merely to make things run smoothly. Also, in the True West interview, Kurt Russell states that the film was nearly cast with Richard Gere as Wyatt Earp and Willem Dafoe as Doc Holliday.
Oh,
Oh,
well, the
man.
foul. Remember, don't forget, we're gonna have a lot of bad pronunciations and horrible impersonations.
Don't worry. Season 2 is not changing anything, folks. We still don't know how to pronounce things here on Side by Side, and we have no shame in it.
And there's two of us side by side, and we can't help each other. So come on, we're
Listen,
just.
George Comatose did a great job.
You know what? Now that I look at it, I can see what you're saying. Comatose, yeah. I'm sorry, George. Jorge.
Sorry, George. I mean, you did a great job helping things run smoothly while Kurt Russell directed this fine picture. Um, no, I don't want to. Like I said, yeah, man, this movie is fantastic. I This is one of my family's probably go-to westerns aside from Lonesome Dove, and I've seen this movie I don't know how many times. I think we've discussed it before. Whenever
Yeah.
people would ask me like, "What are your favorite films?" Um, or what's your favorite movie? It would always come in between Jurassic Park and Tombstone. Honestly, two opposite kind of ends of the spectrum if you're asking me. But yeah, man, this is and oddly enough, until we chose these, like I didn't own Tombstone. It's been since like you know, I was younger. Whenever my entire family had it, like we had it on VHS, and then we got it on DVD. And then after I left the house, I just never got it. If it was ever on TV or something like that, of course I'd watch it. But and then same with Jurassic Park, I still don't have a physical copy of that right now. Um, but yeah, oh man, I love this movie. Sorry, I mean, whew, it is great, great.
Hey, um, as much as you love it, let's amplify it another 10 for me, and then take that and amplify it another 100 for you,
Yeah.
and then that's just how much love. Like I was like, I felt season one you were kind of trying to get this one somehow in there,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm happy that we went with it when you said it because I'm just gonna start off with this because we're gonna stick on Tombstone, but I'm gonna say when you said Tombstone, I just said Wyatt Earp because I was like, my mom loves Kevin Costner, and we watched a lot of Kevin Costner growing up, and I was like, I remember seeing Wyatt Earp, so I just threw it out there. You know, I remember they're back to back, 93, 94. But what I'll say about this, and this is what I'll leave until we get to Wyatt Earp, it's Marvel versus DC ish,
Yeah.
and the feelings. Tombstone being Marvel and Wyatt Earp being DC. And I'm
Yeah.
not trying to poke fun at DC and not try to say anything Marvel, but it's the feeling I get. Tombstone is just an awesome movie, and I hadn't seen it in its entirety in so long.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dude.
Um, and kind of like what you were saying, and I had probably seen bits and pieces of Wyatt Earp over the years, but I had never watched it. Like I couldn't tell you that I'd seen Wyatt Earp definitively, like I had seen Tombstone. Um, but yeah, no, you're definitely right. That is a great analogy, DC and Marvel, because Marvel, it's not even so much of like one is better than the other. Marvel is simply just crack the code on there's a formula. They have to have a formula
There's a
of
formula.
like this is how a movie has to go to make it run smoothly. I mean, you have Guardians of the Galaxy who I had no idea that that was even a comic book, and then you come out with that movie and it's just like a hit out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, you really have to have things tuned in, like really dialed in to make stuff like that work. So I think that's where you're getting a real difference between Tombstone and Wyatt Earp in that respect. Is where Tombstone is I mean, it's like action packed. It is. There's rarely a whole lot of time in between like guns firing, Doc Holliday making a quip about something, making you kind of laugh, whereas Wyatt Earp, man, it's more of a biopic if you're
It
asking me.
is. Yeah.
It's really kind of his entire life. And honestly, I watched Wyatt Earp first, and I'm kind of glad I did. Like I said, I'd seen Tombstone so many times. It was kind of cool to see how he got there. Because I mean, Tombstone, it's in the name. I mean, that's where it starts off. This is where the heat of this is where the action of Wyatt Earp is, and that's I think that's why Tombstone is just so much.
Oh yes, I'll tell you this, man. And I chose Wyatt Earp and Ben chose Tombstone. And in my head, I was like, if there's a who chose a better movie by far from the beginning, I was like, Ben totally monster like slammed this on me. Like he beat me. I was like looking at Wyatt Earp and I was like, first of all, I want to apologize. If you go out and see Wyatt Earp, it is just how Ben said. It's definitely a biopic. It is definitely a western. It's well made, but I apologize because I was watching it for an hour and then I paused it this morning to go do some other stuff. And it snowed, went to go play. And then I came back and I was watching it for what felt like another hour. And I looked, I was like, well, let me see. I feel like I know the story of Wyatt Earp. Why am I barely at his like? It's like I felt like 2 hours have gone by. Why am I barely here? And then I looked. It was I had to confirm on IMDb. I had to confirm on on just checking it up and on the DVD itself. 3 hours and 11 minutes.
Hmm.
It is long. It is not boring-ish. It's a little slow, but it's got a lot of information. That we'll talk about it then because I felt like I wish I would have seen Wyatt Earp first because Tombstone I hadn't seen it in its entirety like that, and knowing the story, knowing the characters, and then seeing what like my only thing on Tombstone was why do they have this love story in here? I could do without it. It would be an awesome action movie. But then that's like that was a big part of Wyatt Earp, so that's so it was like it's so you have to kind of throw it in there.
Yeah,
Um, just this is I mean let's just get started on Wyatt Earp himself, man. He's what badass.
yeah,
The Kurt Russell portrayal is amazing.
yeah.
He
Kurt Russell even has a kid named Wyatt, so Wyatt Russell.
dude,
Um,
that's got to mean something for him.
and he was born 4 years before this movie came out. So I feel like even before this, like Kurt Russell probably he was like, oh man, I really enjoy Wyatt Earp. I feel like I could be totally wrong. I mean, I know he has a real, I think he really enjoys Elvis.
Mhm.
Kurt Russell does. That's why 3,000 Miles to Graceland is such a great movie too.
I love that movie.
And
David
that
Arquette.
has Kevin Costner too.
Oh yeah, and David Arquette.
Yeah, dude, yes. And doesn't it have oh gosh,
It's
I'm
got a lot.
blanking on his name.
It's got a lot of names. It's got a lot of names. It's got Tom Hayden Church in there. He's in it, and
Which
then
he's in Tombstone too.
he's in
No, no,
Tombstone.
no.
No, he's
Wait.
in Tombstone. He's in
Yeah,
Tombstone.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
It's a younger version of him. So
Yeah.
the characters come out. So I wanted to ask you real quick because Tombstone feels like the movie of Wyatt Earp, where Wyatt Earp feels like don't like him the biopic, but it feels like his life.
Yeah.
Like so, I feel like since I watched Tombstone first, I got a lot of those character references, kind of like in the View Askew, where you kind of see the characters kind of develop. This is not really a development. This is just another version of those characters.
Yes. And see, okay, so sorry, you said you were glad that you watched Tombstone first.
Hmm.
See, and I'm really glad that we did this way because I'm glad I watched Wyatt Earp first because it was like I think I just mentioned this, but like I'd seen it so many times that whole Tombstone just part of Wyatt Earp. And then to see it in the movie, man, it was just like that whole buildup. Because whenever I first started watching Wyatt Earp, I was like, this isn't Wyatt Earp. Whenever you see him as a young man, I'm just like, this isn't him. And then Kevin Costner, I'll give it to him. Like he does that slow progression. He really builds it up. And of course, he has 3 hours to do it, so he could take his time. But Bokeem Woodbine was who
Yeah,
I was thinking
there you
of.
go. Yeah, yeah.
Was in Yeah, and
2000.
Courtney Cox was in there too. Oh man,
Yes.
that's well, nah,
This is right
take
after.
that.
So this is when she was with. I mean, she
David
was with
Arquette.
David Arquette, and he did Scream. They already did Scream by this point. I think
Mhm.
3,000 Miles of Graceland is 2001.
2001. Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they yeah, they had their little bond or their little relationship. So they oh, actually, I just was watching Ready to Rumble. Have you ever seen that one? David Arquette,
With Scott Can in
Scott
there
Conn.
too. Yeah, Scott Conn. That's right, because James Caan's
Yeah, son,
kid. Um, it's been a while since I've
dude.
seen it all the way. I remember my dad ordered it on pay-per-view one time. But
That's a
yeah.
best friend movie. You know, I love those best friend movies. That's one of
Hmm.
my top favorite.
And it
It's just
has
a
Oliver Platt in there too. I remember that.
Oliver Platt, and that
Really
movie
love
has
him.
a lot. And see, and this is what I like about that movie, Ready to Rumble. It has a lot of the WCW. Yes, I said WCW. Sorry, at the WWE, whatever. They had at that moment, they had those players, the WCW, the main characters. They had them in that movie. Now, when you look at the people or the character the actors that are in Tombstone, I mean, what I'm trying to say was I would like to kind of compare them side by side as the scene as in like Morgan Earp played
Hmm.
by Bill is it Paxton? Is that the
Yeah, Bill
one?
Paxton
Yeah,
and
Paxton, because Bill Pullman's in the
yeah,
other one. So okay,
Spaceballs.
so no, but yeah, so we got a repeat offender,
Repeat offender right
repeat
there.
offender, and then what was it?
Lyndon Ashby is who
Ashby,
plays Morgan Earp
John,
in.
he's the Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat.
Is that who that is?
Yeah. Okay. So Morgan Earp in yeah, he plays the Morgan Earp in Tombstone is played by Bill Paxton, and he's more of a I didn't even so this is what I love about watching Tombstone this time because I'm giving it like one I have my adult brain like I always said gotta watch it as an adult but because I saw it as a kid and I saw this a lot I saw a lot of the scenes and you go out and you know sports bars or wherever you see the play in the background you're like oh Tombstone but when I started picking up so much on in Tombstone I picked up Morgan Herb more as he's a thinker, a philosopher. He even talks about dying. And when he talks, I go, I know he dies. And when I never caught that. And when he talks about dying, I was like, hey, remember when I said you see a light? I was wrong. And then
Wrong.
that's like those his last words. And it's like, holy crap! Like he even like that death. It means it's a big thing because that's what ignites the Wyatt Earp to go on this freaking killing spree. And then that killing
Mhm.
spree, I mean, we could talk about from just the beginning and compare the stories because the way we see the Cowboys, which they talk about the Cowboys.
Yeah.
You think Cowboys and Indians, and it's like these are bandits or these are bad. If you're a cowboy, you're a bad guy.
Cattle rustlers,
Yeah,
stuff like that. Yeah, man. Watch watching the two, I feel like Tombstone is more of like theater, if that makes
mm-hmm.
sense. You know, it's like more of oh gosh. Where yeah, Tombstone's gonna be more like a theater production. Like it's romanticizing a lot of this stuff. Uh, you know, it's even the killings and everything, like it romanticizes everything. It keeps you locked in with action, whereas Wyatt Earp, it's just telling you his life story. It's trying to get his life story out there and to, you know, from beginning to end, you see what happens to Wyatt Earp. Like it's you know, and to be fair, I mean, I feel like he had a lot of stuff going on. 3 hours is, you know,
I
it's
mean,
it's a good chunk of time. But I started at 1 o'clock last night, and I couldn't stop watching it. It
oh
was, you know, it was. I really enjoyed it. Now, is it better than Tombstone? We'll get there. We'll get there.
well
But
well
yeah,
I'll tell you this: the fact that we had, like I said, I wish I would have saw Wyatt Earp first because Tombstone is just so well made. I feel like Wyatt Earp is kind of like I was laughing at a lot of the scenes at first and the characters because okay, so
whenever
like
he was knocking guys out with the with
with
his gun,
with this
like he
guy
just shows out of nowhere. Pa!
because what happens is and this is what a like a biopic I believe is supposed to be just like that shot like in its entirety like I mean that's I want to know in Wyatt Earp in which because the Wyatt Earp I'm gonna just say the IMDb information it's Wyatt Earp 1994 PG-13 3 hours and 11 minutes adventure
Mhm.
biography crime it was released June 24th 1994. From Wichita to Dodge City to OK Corral and Tombstone, a man becomes a myth in this thrilling journey of romance, adventure, and desperate heroic action. Okay, directed by Lawrence Kasdan, writers are Dan Gordon, Lawrence Kasdan, stars Kevin Costner, Dennis Quaid, Gene Hackman. I had to look up who played Doc Holliday because before I watched the movie on the Who What's in White Earp, and when I saw Dennis Quaid, I was like, oh, I forgot that, but I don't remember his performance. But I'll never forget Val Kilmer's performance
No.
as Doc Holliday. And I was bringing up Morgan Earp first because in White Earp, Lyndon Ashby, he plays him aggressive.
Hmm.
So there's some stuff in the story if you really want to nitpick, they counteract a lot. But you have Sam Elliott playing Virgil in Tombstone, and then you have Michael Madsen playing Virgil in Tombstone.
Like, yeah, it's totally different, man. Like Michael Maston just has a totally different demeanor than Sam Elliott. But and also in Wyatt Earp, you have more of the brothers. It's not just
Yes,
three brothers. James, and then you have Warren, played by a young Jim Caviezel.
I was reading the names out loud. Like I said, I practiced, and I was going like, wait, James Caviezel. That's when he used to call him. Oh, I forgot he's young in this movie. Oh, and sure enough, at the very end, when he played Warren, I believe is that what you said. I think that's his
Yes.
name.
Yeah.
So the thing is with the Wyatt Earp is it's so long that you don't really have a connection for some characters.
Yeah.
Because you forget about them because it's so long. You
Tell me,
remember them.
tell me why I was looking for Johnny Ringo the entire time. I had to go on IMDb, and I was just like, who plays Johnny Ringo? Who play? Because and that's another cool thing about these movies is like they kind of pick who's gonna be like the main bad guy, Whereas for some reason in my head, Powers Booth was playing Ike instead of Curly Bill, and I was like, oh, that's Ike. And then I was watching Tombstone and said Curly Bill. I was like, oh yeah, like it.
Just off the top of my head, dude. Like, I just want to because he's passed away, Powers Booth, but just having that badass name, Powers Booth, like that's your name. Like that's awesome. I hope he didn't change it. I hope that was what his birth name is. He also went to back then was Southwest Texas College, university, which is now Texas State University. So he went to San Marcos, and he's played quite a good villain. He's before he passed, he was in MCU. He was a kind of one of the board members in Shield, I believe.
Yeah.
But his portrayal, it really sticks with me, man. Because I always thought, okay, so whose clan is it? Is it Johnny Ringo's?
No,
Or
no. It's Curly Bill's.
Are
But
you?
because remember, he says he's like, man, I can't, I don't want to see this gang after Johnny takes over. Because
In the
yeah,
beginning,
yeah, he says, well, I think it's right after they have the shootout at the OK Corral.
Oh yes.
Whenever he kills a couple of those cowboys that are unarmed, and yeah, Johnny Ringo gets drunk and he's just out there, your time is coming, stuff like that. And that was another cool thing about Wyatt Earp is like like I said, it's long, but it's very thorough. Like you have them going through they get because they aren't lawmen whenever that happens, right? Like they're just in Tombstone, it's very clear. Like
Yeah.
they aren't a part of the law there. But in Wyatt Earp, it kind of is a little bit muddled. And then they're like, well, you shouldn't have done that. This wasn't legal, da 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 da, and all this other stuff. And I think Virgil was, but Wyatt and Morgan weren't
Yeah.
at the time. I can't remember. It's a
Well,
lot.
it's a lot. Yeah, but also too, what you just said about the Johnny Ringo character, he's non-existent in Wyatt Earp. The only time I knew he existed was when Doc Holliday goes, Johnny Ringo, pa, just shoots him. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, there it is. I was waiting for it because I don't remember. I honestly do not remember Wyatt Earp like this. My mother and we used to watch a lot of Kevin Costner. I love Waterworld, the Post Office, the Postman. We saw those,
Mhm.
Bodyguard. We see a lot of Kevin Costner, and my was it Bull Durham? Also my well,
Yep.
we watch all these movies, so I remember Wyatt Earp. I tried to visualize it, and I couldn't whatsoever. I could not remember this movie, and just having it, being able to compare it to Tombstone, man, it's so hard because cinematically, Tombstone just kills it. But
Oh,
Wyatt Earp is something different, and at first I was kind of joking with it because I was like, "Is how old is Wyatt Earp?" Because Kevin Costner is 39 in this movie, and he like plays him when he's like 20 or something, and they were calling him kid. And I was like, I guess so. The one thing I did want to ask is, and the reason I wanted to ask about, I guess that just makes it seem that Johnny Ringo is just that strong. of an individual that he doesn't need to be the leader of the group, but they still listen to him.
Mhm.
Where I'm sorry, was Wild Bill, not Wild Bill. Oh, that
Oh,
was
Curly Bill.
Curly Bill.
Curly
That's
Bill.
why I was, in Wyatt Earp they say all those Bills. Oh, and Bill this and Bill that, and I'm like, everybody's name is everybody in the Wild West. Like they tried to. I go, with movies that I've seen, is there's a lot of Billies and they're always bad. A
Yeah.
Bill this, but I'm like, well, if you change the long name, it's a William, and then you realize you have a lot of those aristocrats that are like, I'm William, and
Hmm.
where you have a lot of those, I'm Billy the Kid. So that's like that name was kind of like, hey, if you're gonna name your kid William, it's either gonna be a bad guy Billy or a really snobby William. But hey, we're gonna roll the dice on this name.
Yeah. And one thing that I thought was interesting about Tombstone was the sheriff, John Behan. Um, in Wyatt Earp, they call him Johnny and they call him
Yeah,
all this other stuff. Whereas if you had called him Johnny in Tombstone, you would have gotten it confused with Johnny Ringo.
yeah,
You know, Johnny Ringo is that second. Well, I would even call him a secondary villain, right after Curly Bill, because he's right underneath him. So you just have that whole aspect of like, okay, are we gonna make Johnny Ringo like a big part of Wyatt Earp? No, because that takes away from John, Behan, stuff like that, the sheriff.
yeah.
And even in Tombstone, I think like Sheriff Behan's with the Cowboys at the end. I don't remember that happening in Wyatt Earp.
Well, I think on that, I think they're just, well, because it came second. There had to be a point there where they're looking at Tombstone and being like, hey, we Johnny Ringo's the main guy in this movie. Let's not copy him, because it'd be. I mean, they have the I guess it'd be like the tall tale. So this would be two stories told different versions. It just happens that Tombstone does it a lot cooler than
And
White Earp.
and also these are movies. These aren't like actual factual
Yeah,
documentaries or anything like that. So I think you can take you can take a lot of liberties. You can say, okay, Johnny Ringo, yeah, that's gonna be our guy. We're gonna get Michael Behan to play him, or Michael Behan, excuse me. And you
dude.
know,
Until I had to ask him when I met him how he says his name, because I
mhm.
was calling him Bean.
Say it for me.
It's Bean.
Bean.
Yeah, I
Okay.
was I was like behind me, and he was like, I was like, sorry, how do you say it? It's Bean? I was like, oh, but he's dude. When I met him and he was at Greater Austin Comic Con in 2019, like he was cool
Yeah.
because I talked to him about that scene where the build up Tombstone. Like, I'm sorry to sidestep a little bit because one thing I didn't know about was the opiate use
Hmm.
a lot, the drug abuse. I was like, oh wow, so that got me really hooked in. And then it really, like, I always knew how cool Johnny Ringo was, like how like he is like the aristocrat. He's a smart, intelligent guy, and then like the only real reason Doc Holliday kills him is because he's like there can only be one. There's like they're basically the same.
Hmm.
And it's basically, but Doc, see, and then so Michael Bean's Johnny Ringo. I asked him like, you in that scene, because he kind of he helped me go through it in my head, because I was like, in that scene, when as an actor when you're reading it, you know you're gonna die in that scene, but how do you show it off in that character? Because you really he keeps it in character up until he gets shot. He goes, oh, let me just give you some advice as an actor: don't get ahead of the script, stay in your scene, stay in the moment till you cut it and you move on. I was like, oh, it makes so much damn sense. Thank you, Michael. And then he said, and then the other thing is, it was just so damn good writing,
Yeah.
and he said it was well writing. So when I asked him to sign my aliens, he had a script there, and I signed the alien script. I was like, he wanted me to sign two. So he goes, sorry, he goes, you don't only have like 4 or 5 lines in Aliens. I go, yeah, but I got an alien collection. I'll come back for the Tombstone one. But he goes, oh, but it was on Father's Day, and he even I was like his second person I spoke to him, and he goes, hey, how's it going? And we're talking, and he goes, I go, I'm a dad, and I was, oh, you're a dad. It's Father's Day. Give this man a half off. And because he did that, I would buy. I was like, all right, well, I'm doubling up on things. I didn't. You just opened up a window of money for me. I'm gonna put. But that was
Yeah.
cool that he was able to, like, find a fan that was like, hey, like, and we talked. But about that role, about the Johnny Ringo role, I was like, did like you prepared like so perfect? He's like, yeah, just he's like, I had to just kind of, because he was the one that really explained, look how different I am from the other characters.
Hmm.
Look how completely different I am. And I was like, yeah, you're. So he goes, I have to find my way in the scene, and because Val Kilmer, as prima donna as he is, or whatever you hear about him on set, he steals this movie. Like Wyatt Earp,
Huh.
I want to ask. That's why I want to ask you if Wyatt Earp was made, because I saw that it's produced. One of the producers was Kevin Costner, so I'm wondering if he had a big influence on it, because it just feels like he's in every scene. He's in every scene of Wyatt. I mean, it's granted it's Wyatt Earp, but
Yeah,
in Tombstone they kind of get away with that because it's not based on Wyatt Earp, but it is his
it's a
story.
yeah.
So
Uh, so man, that's a really good question. With it just kind of whenever you were asking me that, I had read something too where Kevin Costner was attached to Tombstone
ah,
beforehand, but there was something that he didn't like about it. I can't remember what it was. There's something that he got. I think it was. Oh, I think it was the writers. Just the way the script was going, he was like, "No, this is too much. Maybe I don't know whether it was too much dialogue or too much just like liberties with what was said or something like that. I'm not too entirely too sure, but um, yeah, I mean with Tombstone, I mean it is about Wyatt Earp. You get a lot of him, but it's mostly about it's the town. You know, it's the and that's I think that's why they chose that name. Is first off, it's very ominous. I mean, that's a
oh,
crazy
that I
name.
never,
That's a
no, I
crazy
didn't.
name
Yeah,
to name a town. You know,
that's true.
uh, and then
You're
second
gonna
off,
go
I
and
mean,
die.
yeah, exactly. And you get more of the cowboys too. Like in Wyatt Earp, you don't really get that the same feel for the villains as you do. I mean, they're the first people that you see.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have that little beginning part where you see the black and white footage, which is Val Kilmer and Kurt Russell. At first, I was like, did they take this from like actual footage? And I saw a picture or saw like a little clip of them, but yeah, I mean, you see the cowboys the first off, and so you set the stage for the villains first off, and you get that feel, man, like, oh, okay, this, like I said, just that ominous feel too. And that opening scene is just fantastic. You have Johnny Ringo just sitting in there is like, your Spanish is worse than your English. And he knew exactly what that priest was talking about. He's like, a sick horse, what was he talking about? It's a pale horse, and with him and on top of him rides death, and hell follows with him. And then it just like, you're into the movie, man. It captures you so much better than I think Wyatt Earp does. And that's not to say that Wyatt Earp doesn't. It hooks you in different ways, man. Like it's Tombstone is there to just grab you and hold on to you for 2 hours.
Yeah.
You don't know exactly what you're getting. You have a basic idea. But Wyatt Earp, they're telling you a story.
It's just, yeah,
That,
it's a,
Lawrence Kasdan, I mean, he wrote Empire Strikes Back, man. He's a Star Wars dude. Um, yeah, so I like him a lot.
that opening scene that we were talking about, where they shoot up the Mexican, were they're sheriffs, right, or police? They were like federales. They weren't, because he,
Possibly,
I think something like that. Because I forget where I get that from, but where he goes, you kill two cowboys.
yeah.
They threw the rags down, and that's why they kill that whole they the slaughter.
And there were a lot of people there that were armed, which I mean, for a wedding, even back then, I feel like that's you may be very right there.
So
Uh,
yeah, because I was thinking like it was something like that. But the character, he's actually, was it Paul Ben Victor, the guy that plays he plays the Mexican, or the, I don't know. So I don't know if he's a
is
Mexican
he?
American, or if he's the Mexican, like the guy that speaks the
I
bad
would.
Spanish.
I oh
That
I don't
character,
know. I
because
haven't.
it's
Let's see.
because the only reason I bring the culture thing up is because with Tombstone I get gentrification. And that's what
Yeah.
I get a lot of that. I get, this is what's the modern, that's all changing, all the money's coming in, all the silver, all the
Yeah.
the merchant, all that. So I feel like when that guy is more like, where they're Mexican, they're like the wedding was traditional, all that, and that guy is either a Mexican that joined the Cowboys, or he's a Mexican American that joined. And the reason I'm asking is because Michael Biehn was like, he's well educated, he's well, like, and like he tells him like, your English, your Spanish is as worse as your English, like. So it's kind of like, I'm wondering if the gentrification is really like a big part of this movie, because it's what's progressing a lot of the story.
Mm.
Honestly, between that extra hour that Wyatt Earp has, I think it's meant for that long, slow tell. And I think where Tombstone has to go right off the bat, but it brings you the characters in nice. You love Bill Paxton, Sam
Hmm.
Elliott. That's all you need. But Virgil. Um, but Michael Madsen playing like younger Virgil, that's what cracked me up. Like it's like he's like I think did he do Reservoir Dogs
Yeah, yeah.
right? I mean, right before this, as this Reservoir Dogs was '92 or so. He had done Reservoir Dogs, right? Um, I think that's what he let's see real quick. I think because I'm just cracking up in my head. That's what I was trying to take it. 92, yeah, Reservoir Dogs, 1992. So he already had done Reservoir Dogs, so he was already getting roles. And I had saw something on Species, and the reason Michael Madsen was he did that role as the good guy because he said I'm always getting portrayed as a bad guy because of the ear cut off of Reservoir Dogs. And he plays a great villain. He does play a good villain.
Yeah.
But now in this one he plays like a good guy, but he's not really. He's just, I guess it's just a
Well,
small role.
yeah, and that's another thing too, is like we said before. I mean, this is Wyatt Earp. This isn't Virgil Earp. This isn't Morgan Earp or anything like that. This is with the Kevin Costner version. It is all about him. You get
All the
like
time.
you really even don't see that much of Michael Madsen until they get to Tombstone. I mean, you see him here and there, but it's not as prominent. I mean, I guess you do see him in Dodge City and everything like that, which that whole thing, like, and that's why I think I enjoyed this watching it first, is because you see that the wives and everything like that, they're like, we don't want to go to Tombstone, we don't want to do this, we want to stay where we're at, and Maddie was already a part of that. She was already part of that group, and then whenever you first see Wyatt and Maddie and Tombstone, is like they're introducing everybody like they don't know who they are. um so
Oh, that's true.
it's like,
Dude,
this is Maddie.
I did like that in that opening scene in Tombstone where they stand next to each other at the mirror. Like that's how you just take a photo. That's so beautiful. Like they're just kind of like Tombstone is more of like an art piece where
Exactly.
Wyatt Earp is more of a history book. Now, if you were to put the 5 hours in and dedicate like kind of like not all at once, if you want to binge it, you can. But if you were to watch Tombstone, I think then watch Wyatt Earp, like it fills in a lot of those gaps for Tombstone, or vice versa. Wyatt Earp, you get the story, then you watch Tombstone, because that character in Tombstone, Ike, but Ike Clayton,
Hmm.
was played by Stephen Lang. God, he pissed me off so much, man.
Oh no, man. Hey there,
Dude,
law dog.
like he's like that guy like that talks so much shit, and then whenever the fight breaks, like he backs like 4 times, not once,
Hmm.
twice, three, 4 times. And I think they kind of kill him when they're chasing him. I don't know.
No,
Uh,
no,
They
no.
don't.
They mention at the end that he dies later on,
Oh, that's right. See,
because he lets he's like, I'm not a cowboy anymore,
that's
and throws
right.
his sash down. Yeah.
He
So even then, oh yeah,
dude
he
he
does a perfect job at that.
Oh, it gets under my skin. The only other Kevin Costner
Oh,
movie that's the other one with him and Elijah Woods, where that other I forgot what it's called. Like I gotta look it up. But there's a redneck dad in that one, and he really gets under your nerves because he picks a lot of fights,
you
and it's
said
just like,
Elijah Wood with
yeah,
Kevin
Kevin Costner
Costner?
and Elijah Wood. They did a oh god, I'm gonna have to look it up. They did a movie, and it's from like the 50s. It's about the end of World War II, I believe, or something, or World War One.
Hmm. Hmm.
Give me one sec.
Was it
And
in the 90s or?
yeah, early 90s.
Okay.
It's a
Uh,
lot. It's a lot about like racism in the South.
mm,
I think it's called The War. I think that's what it's really
the
called.
war.
Let's see. Yeah, The War. It's The War 1994, PG-13, 2 hours 6 minutes, drama, released November 4th, 1994. An emotionally fractured Vietnam, returns to his family in a rural Mississippi, counseling his kids when they have fight their own neighborhood battles, from the director of Fried Green Tomatoes. So it's a pretty strong one. Where see Kevin Costner, like when he plays a role like this, where he's he's the father figure, it's kind of a shared role. I feel like Wyatt Earp is like too much Costner. I mean, I'm not saying he does a bad job. It's like all Costner, where like in Robin Hood, like he shares a lot of the roles, and there's other like he breaks off from him. It's not just him. Um,
Yeah.
and sorry, I think I lost what I was saying about that. Um, but I think that just with Kevin Costner and Wyatt Earp, and then Kurt Russell's portrayal of Wyatt Earp, like every moment Kurt Russell's in their oh sorry, I know what we're saying. Well, but I was saying about the 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 love. I was gonna sorry, I'm all over the place. The love story about him and his wife is very prominent in Tombstone, but it's non-existent in Wyatt Earp. And then the I guess the affair he has, or the with the actress, it's kind of it's real heavy in Tombstone, but it's not that it's lightly coated in. Wyatt Earp. That
I
I
I felt like it was heavier in Wyatt Earp.
Oh, because she's more involved,
Yeah,
right?
she's more involved,
Yeah, she's more
and you
involved.
get more of the interactions between, because in Tombstone, Maddie is just like kind of laissez-faire about it. She's like, whatever, okay, yeah, he's sleeping around. And in Wyatt Earp, it makes it very clear that he's not married to her,
That's true.
and that never plans on marrying again. And
Oh,
Maddie,
because
Maddie's
his first wife died. That's right, and he was
Urilla,
always
yeah, and
Eureka.
that was, I think, that's why I really enjoyed. Yeah, I think I've said it like 20 times already. It's just, man, like I get more of a backstory in Wyatt Earp, more of a reason why Tombstone happened. You get to the point where Kurt Russell's at, where Kurt Russell's just being a badass the entire time.
Yeah.
And then with Kevin Costner's version, you got to work your way up there. Um, Also, I think Kurt Russell's mustache is real. So, you
Oh,
know,
dude, it's a
that,
badass. That's, I
dude,
mean, if
I'm
we, if
telling
we
you,
if we compare the cast of, we don't want to, but Tombstone and White Earp, it's just the portrayals of every
it's better.
character. It's way
I,
better. I mean,
I mean,
you have Charlton Heston in this one too. Henry Hooker. Jason Priestley is he gay in this movie? It was him and Billy Zane character, where did they have something? Because Jason Priestley's character, he plays what, Billy Breckenridge,
Billy
and
Breckenridge.
he's he like is he what, he's like the accountant or something with them, or what does he do with that? What is he?
Yeah, I think he's kind of like that. I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't say that. I would say,
Because he touches his hand when he's dead. When Billy Zane, who plays what, Mr. Fabian, when he plays his in that scene when Billy Zane comes out and does, it's like it's such a little mind fuck, because he's like, there's a bunch of tough guys in the crowd, but yet he's the toughest guy because he's wearing spandex and the western, the 1800s,
yeah,
and like, it's like, hey, and by the way, I would like just to throw this out there that out of all the times, if anybody listening to this right now or after this at any time, you should be thankful you're being bored we're this time, and we're not back then when you had to work on the railway, or you had to go skin buffalo, and you had,
yeah.
like, it's like take things we take little things for granted. That's all I want,
S-
my 2 cents. But I was like,
yeah, definitely simpler times.
yeah,
Like you could, I think it's probably it's kind of cool because you could really go and make anything that you wanted back then. It was a lot. It was a lot freer. I feel like you could go and do. It was a lot more dangerous. A lot more dangerous. You
but
you could go get shot in the middle of the street and they
that's
just
true.
drag your ass off. Like, oh well, he died.
But I think the thing that really hurts it, that it's also hurting us now, is information. Because over there is all experience. You had to go hearsay. There weren't really any books. I mean, there were, probably
Yeah.
super expensive, but like, only like it was probably really hard. You're right. If you're a young person and you're around an older person that was successful, you could kind of see what they do, and mimic it, or take over or inherit something. But I think it's the information. Like, it seems a lot easier for us looking back at it, where I've always been like, why didn't they do this? But at the same time, it's like, well, if you didn't know anything back then, and there was no internet to educate you, even like now, there's internet to educate yourself. People aren't using it for that. They're using
No.
it to run podcasts and talk about 5 hours of Wyatt Earp.
Or they're using the wrong information that they have on them. And
That's true.
that's another thing too, man. Is like you have a flood of information, and what's real? That's really the question nowadays. Is like, what's real? What's fake? And back then, you knew what was real. You do. You knew what was real. You knew what was fake, and because a lot of people just they believe what they saw, and then they believed in God. Those are the two things that they
Yeah.
they were they were going by.
I will say that's a big thing I did like about both these movies. They didn't touch that God topic how I would believe it would have been back then.
Yeah.
Like, as a filmmaker, I'd be like, oh, how do, because they probably was a lot of, like, I mean, there's still probably a few witchcraft believers back then, were right about the stake and kind of stuff around that time.
Oh yeah. Well,
Mm.
and this Wyatt Earp starts right in the middle of the Civil War too. And I think in Tombstone, like whenever you're in that, like you totally forget that this is around the time of the Civil War, right after it. You just like, this is the Wild West, where really this is where the Wild West was getting tamed.
Yeah.
The reason you have Wyatt Earp is to tame the Wild West, because you have communities that don't allow guns inside city limits. There are rules about to make sure that people are acting civilized, and even even when you get into Tombstone and stuff like that, like it's a booming town where a lot of criminals and a lot of criminal activity is what is making this a booming place. It was kind of like that Deadwood.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that town where it's run by outlaws and stuff like that, and
I'll
you
say
don't really have that law.
I did pick up on that a lot on Wyatt Earp. You pick up
Hmm.
on that on Tombstone. It's kind of point blank in your face, but they talk about it a lot more in Wyatt Earp because it's a slower, I guess, version of it. But like, you're right. Like they talk about that the damage part. Man, they brought back McMaster's. Bill Pullman plays Edward McMaster's, and he gets shot. And that scene where he gets shot when he's still on fire, his coat. It's kind of or it's, like that dramatic. He gets shot and he walks all the way to his brother, Bat, and he he or is played by Tom Sizemore.
Masterson's.
Masterson, sorry.
Yeah, McMaster's is Michael Rooker.
Rooker.
And
Oh, so they're not the same. Okay,
no,
I thought they were the same
at
people.
least no, because it's like Sherman McMaster's in this
Yeah.
one, and he's a cowboy, and then he comes to the other side.
What?
Oh, and another repeat offender we have over here, uh, Billy Bob Thornton.
Oh, his performance is so magnificent in this movie. He has a small cameo where he plays just I guess like a dealer. Is he the dealer? I caught on to
Yeah,
Johnny Tyler.
Yeah, Johnny Tyler.
You can't even tell
yeah.
it's him because one, he's a skinny fat version of Billy Bob
Skinny
Thornton.
fat version.
A skinny fat version of Billy Bob Thornton. But second, the way he has like you don't even tell. You can't tell like that bad Santa actor is not that the voice you can hear it, but I can't see it in there.
No.
And he does such a great job. He
You
just,
got something on your mind,
but
like oh,
because
dude.
he and that's that whole thing. Like that's the Wild West. You think you're the badass, like you're thinking the biggest snake. Wait till another snake shows up. That's even like more. That's not as big as you, but more venomous. Like look at that. Like and he's like him, and then also with the guy I just brought up. What's his name? Ike. He puts the gun on his forehead and he goes, "Yeah, you'll go first. Yeah, y'all, I'll die, but you're gonna die first." He's like, "Oh, he's not bluffing."
Yeah.
He gets it. He gets it to the point where it's serious. And to me, I think that all, like you said, it all should be serious. It all should be dangerous. But the using of the opiates, getting drunk, a lot, like they're running around with guns. I think we still have open concealed. Again, we're concealed now or no? We're open carry.
Concealed carry. You can have a license.
So even like that, like nowadays for having those, like people still go to bars with that. We don't have shootouts, so I guess we've come a long way. I mean, they still happen. I'm not gonna say they don't, but or at least
it's more contained. People have definitely. Let's put it this way: not everybody is armed nowadays.
Do you think that back then that man, it sucks that you did bring it to my attention. It's called Tombstone, and that means grave, and so it has to be bad, like a bad juju to be there. But do you think when people get pissed off when they go take their guns away from him, and that's why Ed Masterson was shot because he's the sheriff, the acting sheriff at that moment. Now, do you think they get upset because they take their gun as their property, or they get upset because they can't defend themselves once they have to go?
I think it's that loss of power. I think it's really what it boils down to is that they have that gun and they can control situations. And once you take that gun away, it's
okay. Put it this way: if you
not even defend themselves, because the only person that can come in there and shoot you is the sheriff. It's not like they don't give you your gun back.
No, I'm talking about like just not
can't
just
have it.
losing the safety, the safety that the gun brings you. Like if okay, you yourself
that blanket.
Yeah, because if someone were to come in and then like let's say someone comes in drunk wielding a gun and you don't have your gun, it's kind of that whole thing that how are you gonna stop them? Like I'm not defending them like having guns. I just want to know what pisses them off more. Is it because they're losing their gun and they're like, oh man, I'm vulnerable now, or because this whole thing everyone thinks they're tough and they're not tough. Like a lot of people shoot each other. I mean, a lot of people get in each other's face and they're like, they talk about it a lot more. Like there's a lot more because there are guns involved and you have to be more, I guess, diplomatic at that point. But they do shoot each other a lot.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason you have that whole scene with Billy Bob Thornton is to show that just because you have a gun doesn't mean that you are in power. Because Wyatt Earp, he goes right up to him, is like, "Go ahead, pull that skin." How's he? I mean, the dialogue in there is just like, "Whoa, man!" Like,
dude, even
when
when
come on.
even when he finds out that when Johnny Tyler finds out that that's Wyatt Earp, he's like, "You're Wyatt Earp." He gives him the shotgun, like he hands it to him, like, "Oh, that'll what?"
Yeah, it's like
like
he's like, I love that part with Doc Holliday. Is, oh, Johnny, I forgot you were there.
yeah,
You may go.
but
And then and
he's
he's
all
like, okay,
apologetic.
uh-huh.
He's all
And then
apologetic. He's all cordial.
he sets the gun down and says, "Thank you." Like, and I think that's another cool part of
Yeah.
Tombstone too. Is that happens probably like in the first 15 minutes, and you really even more so get that reputation of Wyatt Earp. This is a respected man. This is somebody that you don't mess with. I mean, he just went in there and slapped the shit out of you, and you had a pistol right there, and you're gonna go get a shotgun. Like
Yeah.
he was his pride was hurt. That's all it was. And he was like, "Who's this? Who's this man coming in here?" And even the bartender, he's like, "Who are you, Wyatt Earp?" Yeah, okay, cool. And I think that's another cool thing about the West is like you don't have pictures. You don't know who people are.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, this person can say they're Wyatt Earp all day, but and then once you can prove
Oh
that
yeah,
you
well,
are Wyatt Earp,
because Doc Holliday is right there. You know who Doc
mhm.
Holliday is. I so
Doc, when'd you get back into town? You know?
so let's compare apples to oranges. Kurt Russell, and then compare his portrayal to Kevin Costner's. Now we get a whole lot more of Kevin Costner. I think we get too much where it could hurt him, but to be, it's just because you get all the good scenes of Tombstone or Kurt Russell doing badass shit,
Yeah.
and you get to see. I mean, and Wyatt Earp, you get to actually see him go through his drunk phase. Like,
Mhm.
there's like he throws a Molotov cocktail into his house. It's just like this whole crazy, like, you
Why didn't
know,
he just sell it?
he just doesn't want to
Did
go.
they have for sale signs back then? Like I imagine they
I
would,
don't
but that
know.
just kind of threw me off. I was just like, that seems weird.
Oh man,
But
I think marketing wasn't so much of a big thing back then. But I think more or less, I don't know. It was kind of weird. It shows, Gene Hackman playing his
yeah,
father, and then coming like that adds a lot more because I did like that. I liked Tombstone second. So I mean, saw Tombstone first, and I saw White Earp second because you get to really see the connection between him and his father. And Hackman, I mean, they got good actors, and I think the story for White Earp to me it's just too long, and I think that's what you need in this
mhm.
biopic. I think you need all this, and I think Tombstone is just more the action pack. I'm not going to compare them each because they're too different. But I do like that they're the same story, just told kind of different in different lights.
No,
Um,
no, I think we do need to compare each. I'm
okay.
sorry, I don't mean to disagree with you, but Kurt Russell or Kevin Costner,
Oh, Kurt
and
Russell.
okay, and I'm gonna say Kurt Russell too. But here's why I want to give props to Kevin Costner. Okay, you see him and you see him start off young, um, in love. You see him, the drunk. Like you see that progression. You're like, okay, this is how I end up with Wyatt Earp. And by the end of it, I mean he is badass.
Yeah.
Make no mind of it. I mean you're by the end of Wyatt Earp, um, I was like, okay, this is who I saw in Tombstone. Like this is the badass that I saw in Tombstone for sure. And even in my notes, you know, oh, and it even starts off in Tombstone. Wyatt Earp
Hmm.
does. Like you see him get that coffee, and even in the Tombstone movie, you see him drinking coffee. You don't see him drinking whiskey,
Nah.
which I never caught that before. Not until I watched Wyatt
Yeah.
Earp, and you see that little backstory there. Um, wanted to find. Let's see.
All right. I would say the reason I was saying not to compare them, but I like where you're going because I was like, I think I'm getting the vibe. I can't tell which one you like more. I mean, I can kind of tell you like Tombstone more, but I'm glad you appreciate Wyatt Earp. But I
No, I
think,
do. And at first, I was like, "Who is this?" Like, I was kind of irritated at first with his portrayal because it was just like, "Oh, this kind of seems bland and boring." And then it progressively got better. You got to see him progress, and you got to see him grow up. And I thought that was a cool aspect. And I like I said, I think I wrote it down here in my notes. Like, oh yeah, what it was is like Wyatt Earp, a drunken horse thief. Like I never knew that. And I thought that was a pretty interesting distinction, because in Tombstone, I mean, he's a respected lawman, but you don't.
well, I didn't get what I didn't catch until like I really focused this time. But they say it in White Earp. They say it. I was like, I hope I bring this to the table. But then they blatantly say, he's like, you're an entrepreneur. He's a businessman.
Yeah.
He just sees opportunity. You get the feeling, oh man, see, you can't, as movies, when we're going to compare them, they're just two different films. But if you get the backstory from Wyatt Earp and you fill it into Tombstone, it like amplifies Tombstone way more,
Oh,
because
yes.
you find out that like they don't want to be lawmen, and they've been lawmen longer than they want to. They want to be millionaires, or they want to go to California, or they want to go check. Oh, they do go to California, and then he comes back, and then they go. So
Hmm.
man, these movies help each other out.
They do.
As if you're gonna watch an action movie, you definitely watch Tombstone. If you're gonna want to watch just a biopic about Wyatt Earp, you watch Wyatt Earp. Um,
If you want to learn about Wyatt Earp, if you want to see all of his all of his stuff, yeah, definitely Wyatt Earp for sure.
the
Like,
the
yeah,
the characters that are in both movies, the Mark Harmon character, which is in Wyatt Earp, the sheriff Johnny Behan,
yeah.
he's in, and he just call him Behan. And I like the Tombstone. His name's John Tenay. I like his portrayal a little bit more, but I think he does it so well. I didn't pick up how sleazy he was till I saw the Mark Harmon
I
character.
I got him and the mayor in Tombstone mixed up a couple times because they do look very similar.
Ah, they do,
Mayor
they do.
Klum, which and I don't remember him like the mayor being a big deal in Wyatt Earp. I might have just missed it. There was a lot of stuff going. I mean, it was a long movie, so there's a lot of
A
information there. Um,
lot of pausing.
okay, we're gonna go to the next character, Doc Holliday. We have Val
Dude.
Kilmer and Dennis Quaid.
God, okay, so we did clearly Val Kilmer murders he wins this,
Kills
like
it.
clears it with like an 11 out of 10. Dennis Quaid, now this had to actually get me guessing about Dennis Quaid. Outside of Jaws 3D, what else do I really like about Dennis Quaid's movies?
Ooh,
I'm trying to really figure out, like, because it seems like he's just been an actor and he filled in great. I don't like I can feel the villainous. I feel the villainous in Val Kilmer's performance. I feel that he's not a good person. Like he's not, but he's a good friend to a good person. So or if I don't know if Wyatt Earp's like a great person, but like in Wyatt Earp, Dennis Quaid's performance, I feel more like he's a thief or more like a peddler or something. Not as a crazy psycho badass.
which I think is probably a little bit more accurate to the Doc Holliday in real life.
Oh, he
Um,
wasn't as badass as Val Kilmer made him.
I I don't know. I'm not entirely too sure, but I feel like just from the way that Wyatt Earp went, I feel like this is probably a more honest portrayal of Doc Holliday, if I had to guess.
I could, because okay, so I'm having trouble. You're living right up in that world, and I'm trying not to laugh at Wyatt Earp because there's little scenes that kind of crack me up
Oh,
on
I
their.
laughed. I laughed for sure.
Okay. So
Because I
okay,
mean, I
okay,
was I was there, but like whenever like it was just like anytime there was a like one thing that got me, the thing that made me laugh was whenever he was just like, all right, you got to bust him. All right. They go up and toss to him and just like whacks him in the head, And then later on in the movie, like it happened 2 or 3 more times. I was just like, all right, cool. And I guess that kind of goes back to where, he said he never wanted to kill a man. He didn't ever want to do that. And this is an easier way to restrain somebody and put them in jail. And then, okay, we're fine. And even in Tombstone, he mentions that he was like, whenever I was a lawman, I only got in one gunfight and only killed one person. And
thank
you
you.
don't want to know what that feels like. Uh,
See that I love like hearing that part because when he goes on that once he killed Morgan and he goes on that killing spree,
mhm.
he freaking like it's a crazy ass killing spree. Like he just like drive by. Oh no, they drive bys in White Earth, but
Yeah.
they do a bunch of crazy little things where they ambush people.
But that whole sequence too is so cool because you have it's just the way it's the cinematography in that dude. It's just like you see him just walking up and he's just shooting like at the camera, and then you actually see him like taking somebody down, and then you just see him right in the distance, and you have that like they're coming in the desert, so you have the sun shine, like you have that reflection
Yeah.
going on, and just like the all the scenes in that uh
I,
are just perfect, man. And it has that perfect balance of like coming back, like bringing you back to the story, and then just showing you a shot of him just being a badass, and then coming back to where they're at, and then just like it takes you out and brings you back in without
yeah.
you noticing.
the the stories about like I guess there would be tall tales of Wyatt Earp and hearing like if you were to hear like because they show you both movies they show you the where he goes up to Curly Bill and shoots him the way they did it in Tombstone is pretty freaking wicked badass the way they do
Yeah.
it in Wyatt Earp is kind of just boom boom right there he just walks up. Like, I guess the story goes that they're in the middle of a gunshot fight, and Wyatt Earp just decides to stand up and go straight to the guy with a shotgun and shoot him point blank range, and never got shot. He
Yeah.
does, I think that's how it goes. So when you see like that, like when Curly Bill got shot there in Tombstone, you're like, oh damn, like the main villain just, or like, I thought I'm thinking it's Johnny Ringo's crew at this point, like, oh, or like one of the strong guys is down, so now it's gonna be Ringo's turn. But then when I saw it happen in Wyatt Earp, I was like, oh, you don't have that connection with that villain like you do. But I think it's just because it's you're right. I think it's more like facts. So Dennis Quaid's performance would be more like what you think of with
That's what I feel like Doc Holliday was more like. Now, I thoroughly enjoyed Dennis Quaid's performance. I thought he did a fantastic job. Probably the one part that I laughed with Doc Holliday the most is whenever I think they're in Dodge City. He meets him up there in Dodge City, and they're all sitting in this bar, and then like somebody shoots or something goes wrong.
oh,
And
and
everybody ducks. He just like he's
standing.
just just like sitting there, and he doesn't move one bit. But I mean, he's fearless, dude. Like, what's gonna happen to him? He knows he's dying.
Yeah, he's dying.
You know.
And you're right, you can die either way, because that's I love that about White Earp, that he says that I ain't got nowhere to go. I know where I'm going. Like, I'll go with you. It's like, that's so cool. Like, because Doc Holliday does the ultimate best friend move in Tombstone, where he, like, that's the ultimate. It's like, you think I can take him? Nah, you can't. I'm too messed up. Like, I was lying. I want to fight him. That's why it goes back where Doc Holliday wanted to kill Johnny Ringo just to be like, I'm the real one. But so now, with you bringing me, like, I'm the real badass. Like, you bringing me to this part of saying that Val Kilmer plays the cinema. What am I saying? The cinematographic or cinematography, the cinema version of
Yes.
Doc Holliday.
He's the Hollywood version. How
Yes.
about that?
Damn. I feel so. If we're gonna compare, see, that's where I was gonna do like a 10-2, but nah, it's gonna be more like a 10 performance if movie wise. To Dennis Quaid would probably be like a 6 or a 7. He does a good job, because I started like, I like it Dark Holiday when it got more towards the end of Wyatt Earp, where it was becoming more of a buddy movie, where there's kind of the two friends. I just start getting more of him. You know what? I am gonna have to put in the 3 hours and 11 minutes again to kind of really understand. It's a story. I mean, at least the ending. I want to watch at least not the whole. The first two parts I get it, but the ending, I want to rewatch it again, like you're saying, because
sorry, the ending of Wyatt Earp, whenever he has that guy, whenever they're in, like, going to Alaska, and that guy comes up and is like, you saved my uncle, da 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 da, and he's like, this is how it happened. And then they turn and look off. He's like, that's how they say it happened. He's like, that's how it happened. Like, I thought that was really kind of cool too. It's like these stories, they get muddled over years and years of retelling, and like, and it gets exaggerated. I mean, you have a mob of people coming up to you and you hold them off with a couple pistols. Like,
yeah.
I mean, let's be real here. I mean, they could have all just started shooting, and it was kind of like that scene with Ike, where he's like, he's not bluffing. They all could have just started shooting.
The tension in that scene is it's perfect, captures you.
And don't get me wrong, I'm sure Wyatt Earp's a badass and a lot of people respect him, but he's a man too. Even though in Tombstone is like the last ride of Wyatt Earp and his immortals. Like, I thought that, like, the lines in Tombstone are just like, I think that's why it's going to make it a better movie. It's a better written movie.
If you want to get the story of Wyatt Earp, watch Wyatt Earp and then watch Tombstone to get the movie version of it.
Yeah.
I'm going to give a shout out to my boy Frank Stallone, plays Ed Bailey. Sylvester Stallone's younger brother comes out in Tombstone. He's the guy that gets stabbed by Wyatt Earp.
By Doc Holliday or Wyatt Earp?
Was it Doc Holliday? It's in the it's Doc Holliday. They're gambling Doc Holliday, because he screws him over. He thinks you win 12 times in a row. That's Frank Stallone. That's Sylvester Stallone's younger brother. He's come out in like a few movies. He was also in Hudson Hawk. He has a small little role in there.
He looks exactly like his brother.
Yeah, if you look at him, it looks like Sylvester Stallone. I follow him on Instagram. He's kind of a conservative. He is a conservative. So I kind of just look at his stuff he posts. But I like the post that he always does, like, behind the scenes, like, because I guess his he's Sylvester Stallone's brother, so his brother would bring him on sets. So Frank Stallone has a bunch of pictures of behind the scenes stuff. So that's what I like to see that when, but he's all hardcore, whatever. I'm not into politics. I just ignore that. But the fact that he has a lot of these cool little behind the scenes stuff, I think he's like a Grammy writer. He's a winner. He's got quite of a He's in Hudson Hawk. He's in Rambo, Staying Alive,
Yeah.
Over the Top, or the soundtrack for Over the Top. But he's in here, and the being Stallone's brother. Uh,
Oh,
so he's in it.
there's a Wyatt Earp that was in Tombstone. I think it's like a descendant of Wyatt Earp, distant relative of the 19th century historical figure Wyatt Earp, fifth cousin.
I said 1800s earlier. I meant
Oh no, you were right. It's the
That's right. It is
1800s.
the hundreds, right?
Yeah,
'cause-
it's just the 19th century.
19th century. There we go. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
oh god. I mean, Michael Rooker, he plays Sherry McMasters. He's in it, and this is right after Cliffhanger, Sylvester Stallone movie. Who else we got? There's quite a few little people had some cameos in Tombstone.
So, in Tombstone, Marshall Fred White, the guy who gets shot in the middle of the street by Curly Bill, his name is Carey Jr. He was in Back to the Future Part 3. I think he was in a lot of like old westerns and stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. I recognized him from Back to the Future Part 3.
Which character is he in Back to the Future?
In Back to the Future, he's like, "You better run, rabbit." Like when
That's right. Yeah.
he's the guy in the bar. Is
That's
what
true.
he's
And then because right before when the piss off Biff like at the place in the future, but it's in the past. Stillwell, his name's Thomas Arana in Tombstone, but he is more of a. There's no like a Stillwell because there's a guy gets shot. It was a Stillwell in Wyatt Earp.
Wyatt Earp.
So I like the shot like the way where Wyatt Earp in Tombstone, where he's taking his family to leave, and then they say, "Where's Earp? Wyatt Earp?" And he goes behind you, and he shoots him, and then freaking Ike doesn't get shot. But I was gonna say
in Wyatt Earp, I thought he did get shot. Didn't they shoot Ike there, or was that? Am I making that up?
Oh no, I think he does shoot him in Tombstone and Wyatt Earp, but in Tombstone they don't shoot Ike. They shoot the other guy. He goes, "You shot my brother." But seeing Virgil played by Sam Elliott.
Elliot,
Yeah, we just did Sam Neill last week. Elliott, he does, and he's more of the stern South guy. And then you have Michael Madsen playing. So this part made me crack up, where you see Sam Elliott's scene where he's about to lose his arm, and he's over there like, "Oh, I gotta talk right now." What? He's in pain. And then Michael Madsen played the same exact role, the same exact scene. He's like, "I want to take my arm." He's just like
in those scenes, man, it feels like it's the same dialogue. It feels like they're saying the same things, and that would make sense. A lot of I'm sure there's quite a few like documents and like this is what they said and stuff like that wrote down, so they have probably something like that to go off. But I feel like you said, I mean, it was definitely acted out differently, but I felt like I was watching the same scene.
Yeah, that would be a good little side by side. Put them right next to the same scene that they're portraying.
And then, with Morgan, I mean, Bill Paxton, his death scene was great. But I gotta give it to Lyndon Ashby too. I thought his was really good too. Now the way that they had the camera set up and everything like that, and Wyatt Earp, I felt was possibly a little bit better because you see like the blood just like leaking out on the pool table, and he's shot all the way through Wyatt Earp. And in Tombstone, you have him like they're trying to get the bullet out, like oh, and then he dies. Like it's almost like we could have saved him in Tombstone if only. But in Wyatt Earp, it's like, no, he's dead. He's shot right through.
Okay, so who? All right, I'll question you. Who had a better death scene? So you're saying that Lyndon Ashby is better than Bill Paxton's death scene?
No. I'm just saying he did a good job. It's Bill Paxton all day.
I wasn't questioning you. That was a good question because it's like,
yeah,
it's like, oh man, Which
No, no. I mean, Tombstone, shot for shot, is going to be a better movie.
oh yeah,
It
but
it is.
no, no, I'm not
Uh,
questioning you. I'm not questioning you, but I'm questioning it because I didn't think about like the seeing it is not a movie. If you take out the movie aspect of Tombstone, it's a little different, the story part.
yeah.
But the death scene, because it's supposed to be a heart jerker, it gives you that like he's almost, you're right, because he gets blasted in Wyatt
Hmm.
Earp. He
Hmm.
gets blasted like they. I guess the story goes in this part is that because Wyatt Earp isn't in Tombstone in the room with him when he gets shot.
No.
He gets shot, and Wyatt Earp, he's in there. So one that's a little different there in the story and in the movie, but or in the both stories. But he got shot in Tombstone right as he hits the ball. It's all climax, all timing, and the
No.
same thing. He see, okay, I'm retracting it now because if it's gonna be who, maybe Lyndon Ashby's death was a little bit better. You're right
Yep.
because it has more of a, because when he shoots it, there's a loud smash, there's a loud
You see
crash.
the
You see the
glass
glass
breaking.
where you just see Bill Paxton fall down, and then also in Wyatt Earp, there's a bullet that almost hits Wyatt in the freaking head.
Hmm.
So that brings some more tension. Like they weren't blindly just. I mean, they were kind of blindly shooting, but they didn't shoot a whole bunch. They shot what they needed to do. Where in Tombstone, they man, so when Virgil gets messed up, that's, yeah, damn. See, now Tombstone is
See, in
way
Wyatt Earp, you see it and you see what's kind of happening there,
yeah.
and then he comes back in and everything. When in Wyatt Earp, it all happens at the same time, And also in Wyatt Earp, you don't see the attack on the women.
Yeah. Oh,
Uh,
yeah, shoots
yeah,
in the
because that's when Josephine comes in, and I think in Wyatt Earp, he like brings no, he brings Maddie there to kind
his
of keep everybody
Kerner.
safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at first I thought that was Josephine. I was like,
Yes, so
when
did
did
I.
she pass out? Um, and yeah, and then you also have like in Tombstone, you didn't really get the sheriff, like Sheriff Behan was in a relationship with her, whereas that Harmon character, like he's like, yeah, I got
He's
my
bragging.
girl coming to town and has a naked picture of her and everything like that, which was
Way
interesting.
ahead of his time.
Yeah, yeah, and then well, what is it's the shootout? Whenever they're having the shootout at the OK Corral in Tombstone, she's in there taking pictures, and she's like, whenever and what's his name? Yeah, Sheriff Behan's in there with her, right? And then Ike comes clambering into the room, and he's like, "Give me your
Give me a
gun, give me your
gun.
gun."
Give me a
Well,
gun.
she's like covering up, so that could be whenever she was taking that picture is
Oh,
when that was going on, and that's their kind of rendition of that because it's almost like the same setup, as it
yeah.
was in Tombstone, um, or I mean in Wyatt Earp, excuse me. But yeah, man, it's very interesting going between these two movies, especially because I mean that Tombstone time in Wyatt Earp is probably right around. I mean, it's an hour or so long, right? But you have to get 2 hours of information before you get there,
Yeah. Yeah. It's a
So
slow burn.
it is, and but there's obviously there's going to be a lot of similarities, but it was just interesting seeing it told a different way in Wyatt Earp
Uh,
because my only the only time I'd seen it was in Tombstone. That was the only kind of like I can't even think of the word. I'm drawing a blank, but
wait, this is the first time you've
reference
seen.
point. Sorry,
This is the first time you've seen White Earp.
all the way through. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. I things I took away from White Earp that I loved were the opening scene of the corn stalk,
yeah.
beautiful shots, the colors, a lot of just the ambiance. Man, you know what? I got to give it more credit than what I was giving it because I was kind of mocking it a little bit in the beginning because all right, let me get into this, and now that not mocking it, just kind of just laughing at some of the, because it got a lot of big actors in this movie. There's a lot of names in both of them, but in White Earp you have a lot more because there's a lot more time. I
Gene
mean,
Hackman, you have Bill Pullman. I mean, but
Tom
I feel like,
Sizemore.
yeah, time size. I get him and Michael Maston, Matson.
Matt's confused outside of
Yeah,
the movies, and now they share a
hmm,
movie. I did want to say, let's give a shout out to good old James Earp, who is not in Tombstone, but he's in Wyatt Earp, played by David Andrews, who is also in Jurassic Park 3. Who's
who's
he's the guy that gets, isn't he the guy that gets eaten up by a Spinosaurus right before the airplane takes off?
let's see here. Probably.
I think it's him.
He's in Terminator 3. Let's see. Here's in Fight Club. Let's see what
I
else.
think he is.
Oh, he was in the Watchmen TV miniseries.
I think he was in. Let's see. Where was Spine?
Sorry.
Where was the Jurassic Park 3? When was it made? 2000,
2001.
2001.
Oh, here we are. Jurassic Park.
No, he's not in it. I'm getting confused with someone else.
He was
No,
in Hannibal. So
yeah, I'm getting sorry, wrong guy. You know, I'm getting confused with. Yeah, no, I am getting confused with the other guy. He's done a lot more movies than I thought. Yeah, he's the dad.
He looks really familiar.
Yeah, he does a lot of.
He didn't look familiar in Wyatt. He did, but I was just like, where have I seen him before?
My bad, I'm
Even
confused.
Even in all this, I'm still trying to figure out like what. Because what I always like to do is like, okay, that's where I saw him, and then
Well,
just
he's.
kind of.
It says here's a Foreman in Nightmare on Elm Street, but I don't remember him for that. But he's in it. Cool. But
okay, I do remember now. It was Terminator 3. He's Claire Danes' dad.
Yeah, he gets shot.
Yeah, okay. That's why. Yeah.
And then Rex Lynn, I think he's in a Cliffhanger. Let's see, is he? I think he's in Cliffhanger. He's also in Rush Hour. He's he plays the like one of the FBI agents. And then Adam Baldwin from Firefly is in this.
He's a Baldwin brother, right? So he was in South Park.
I don't think he's a Baldwin brother.
Let's see.
I don't think he's related to the Baldwins. I think it's just let's find out. I actually never. He's been around for a minute.
There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them.
Well, I know there's William, which is Billy Baldwin.
Daniel he's Baldwin. In Full Metal Jacket. He was Animal Killer.
Yeah.
Is that what his name is?
Let's see.
Animal Mother. That's what it was.
Let's see. I don't think he's related to the Baldwin. So
let's see. It'd be in the trivia.
If he was. On IMDb, right?
Yeah.
Damn, he's got a lot. But this guy he's done a lot of movies.
He has a lot of trivia. Damn. Strong jawline. Abby Goffer. Is distantly related to the Baldwin brothers.
Yeah, but he's not. Yeah, he's not. He wasn't in the South Park, but I know he's distantly. So yeah, so it's probably like cousins or something.
They share a common Baldwin's ancestry going back to the 1600s in England.
That's way too far.
Conspiracy theory of the Baldwins.
That's too far.
I'm
been 1/18th, 1/16th. And also has
1/16th Baldwin.
Yeah, 1/16th Baldwin. Let's see. Yeah, because the villains don't really fall too much into. Oh yeah, Tia Leone. She plays like a lawyer or something in it. She's
no, she's a prostitute.
A prostitute. Yes.
So you're kind of close.
Yeah, this movie's got a lot of actors in it, actresses.
So at first, okay, so you remember at the beginning of Wyatt Earp whenever he throws that pool ball at that guy and disarms him, and at the end there's a guy that looks there's the guy that they look the same, man. I'm like, did he just like become friends with him or something? Like,
yeah, he did. He came out like I was wondering for a second. I was like, no, that's not the Cobra Kai. Freaking Cove is his last, or Covey. What's his name? Kove. But he's he hits him, right?
So Johnny Ringo was in Wyatt Earp. He just wasn't a big character.
No, I told you he gets shot. He gets shot by Doc Holliday, but it's just like the only time you hear.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Johnny Ringo is like, huh?
Judge Spicer.
Dude, okay. Now, the more we talk about these movies, the more we're getting into it. I honestly, I didn't even think this was gonna be that much of awesomeness, but we're getting so much awesomeness because if you combine these two things, they work awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Rex Lynn and what was it the Adam Baldwin look? Well, that would make sense because they're playing brothers, but still, like they look very similar. Let's see here, and also, what's her name? Catherine O'Hara.
Oh yeah, Kevin.
I saw her name on here. I was like, oh, and at first it said Allie Earp, and I was like, was that? I couldn't remember if she was married to Wyatt or not, and I was like, huh. And yeah, I like that she was in this. I don't know. Like, I feel like everybody in this movie too, like they weren't really phoning in their stuff, but like even Kevin Costner, like at the beginning, it was just like a lot of staring off into the distance, a lot of.
Well, he's playing a young guy, and that was where it was like, yeah, he's way too. I don't know.
Yeah, man, and just like but then again, like I said, it's a 3 hour long movie. So
Yeah.
you can imagine this took a long time to make.
I guess when we look
Especially
into it, we'll see if we.
especially the buffalo, man. Like that whole buffalo scene, I was like, I wonder if that's CGI. I really do.
Nah, because this is. I don't think so. I think they.
With you do
Well, maybe
you
if they
don't
do
know?
matte, maybe if they do matte, what's it called a matte painting. Like you can just put like a really nice drawing in the background and kind of. I don't know. I gotta go
Yeah.
back into it. I don't think it's all practical because come to the like when they shoot the bison or the buffalo.
Oh, not even killing, just like watching them run by. Like I was like,
Oh,
that's
oh,
a lot.
I
That's a
don't know.
lot
I
of
gotta
them.
look into it. I was talking about when they're like shooting and they had them all staged, like the fake ones
No.
where you see the brothers are skinning them. Like I was like, oh no,
Hmm.
oh I don't know. I gotta go back and
Yeah.
look. I don't know. CGI back then
Oh,
would have been really hard.
well, I don't know. I mean, Jurassic Park came out right
But that
before
was
this,
that.
so
But that was the
Lawrence Kasdan
that was the
had
first
been
one.
working with Steven Spielberg, you know.
But that was the first one though. That was the first. You know, that's
But they made
ground.
dinosaurs. They can make buffalo. Buffalo
Look,
may be
how,
pretty
how
close
much
to extinction.
how much money is your buffalo gonna bring to the dinosaur? You know, who's gonna go to the theme park? You gotta go put more money into your dinosaur or into your buffalo. Like I'm pretty sure Kevin Costner was like,
Buffaloes are hairier, so I don't know.
oh yeah,
No,
dinosaurs have hair and they have feathers.
no, they have.
And
Okay, I was about to say they have feathers. They
they're
have
not lizards, they're
feathers.
reptiles. And I don't know the difference. Um,
Lizards are reptiles.
I know I was watching something with my son the other day. And it said, I mean, everything's correcting everybody these days. Keep in mind, that dinosaurs are more related to birds than lizards, and so they're not lizards. I was like, well, okay, whatever.
Yeah. So I was gonna say that we have passed our hour mark, but we have pretty much blended these two movies. We haven't even like we're just talking about both of them, so I was just letting it ride, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's because I mean, like I said, aside from the 2 hours at the beginning of Wyatt Earp, they're essentially the same
So
movie.
just watch. Yeah, if you want to do a side by side compare movies, so we have to watch all of Tombstone and then compare the last hour of Wyatt Earp. If we want to compare them as like cinema
Let me
movies.
just let me flip to the B side of my DVD of Wyatt Earp, and I'll watch that and then compare it to Tombstone.
I was wondering why when I opened the box, I was like, well, what's in the box? I opened it and it was upside down. So now I am a proud owner of.
So even the Blu-ray, you have to flip it over.
No, I didn't do it on this one. But when I opened it, it was the shiny part was up. So maybe
Oh,
I think it was giving me a heads up. But I got to the end, so I don't know. Or maybe it's another. I don't. Oh, I don't know. But maybe more information on the Blu-ray. But
yeah, I think you can store more information on Blu-ray disc because
it's a Blu-ray.
yeah, it's blue. Um,
But I mean, everything we keep going for a little bit. I don't want
yeah.
to because we still got to talk about the ratings. We talk about the. We talk a little bit about the.
Oh, we have to talk about because I kind of looked it up last night. The performances box office wise were drastically different.
Ooh.
The ratings on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes drastically different.
Could I
So
let me get a little bit more shout out on these characters because I do
yeah,
Isabella Rossellini, Big Nose Kate. She's in Death Becomes Her. She's kind of
was
a she's
she
a
in White Earp or?
fighter. She's a Doc Holiday's.
Oh yeah, I just didn't know which big nose Kate we were talking
Oh,
about.
that's true. She just comes on the
We
other too.
got two of them.
Yeah, we got two of them. Yeah, she's a great actress. She's in it. I mean, I like that Charleston Heston. They got him in, and they give him so many lines in Tombstone.
Yeah.
Like you said, you got Michael Rooker in it. Terry O'Quinn, the dude from Lost, I believe, is the bad guy in Lost or the bad good guy. I can't tell. Can't remember. Yeah, and then let's see any more actors, and because I like Gene Hackman's performance because he did Unforgiven.
Hmm.
Man, he's good in
And Quick
Unforgiven.
and the Dead.
Quick and the Dead. He's two villains in those, and dude, Quick and the Dead is total action movie.
Hmm.
It's total action movie. It's got a nice thin story in it, but the way everything works out, it has a lot of characters. It's definitely like a Mortal Kombat, just kind of like fight story. And then Unforgiven, dude, that's just a crazy Clint Eastwood. Take your time. Kind of Wyatt Earpish in the point of, he didn't drink until he needs to drink. And then, well, I don't think Wyatt Earp didn't drink, so right?
No, because even at the end, whenever he was like, I think Doc Holliday came up to him. He was like, "I don't want to drink alone." And
Yeah,
all
you
of a
don't drink.
sudden,
'Cause you,
he still didn't drink because something else happened, and he was they got distracted.
well, I like that Doc Holliday. He's always been like the ultimate best friend. He knows his friend shouldn't be doing that, so he's like, "Here, let me get that for you." And he starts coughing all over the shot
Hmm.
glass, and he starts like pissing him off so he can mess it up. Oh, wait. So this guy. Oh, okay. I was wondering who that was. So the character that plays Ike and Ike Clayton, and I thought was Jason Bateman, not Bateman, Jason Patrick from Lost Boys and Speed 2. It's Jeff Fahey or Fay Fahea. But he's in the Lawnmower Man. That's who that guy is. I was wondering who that guy. I thought it was played by Jason Patrick, but he's played by this character. I'm sorry, by Jeff Fahey. Fahey. He
Hey,
Fahey. Fahey. But yeah, so he did a good
Ida.
job too. He did a good job as Ike Clayton. But the other character in Tombstone played Ike Clayton. God, he really pissed me off, man.
Yeah,
He does a good coward, good just yeah, Stephen Lang, dude. He does a
he changes it so fast. Like he's just like, oh, law dog. As soon as he has that pistol, he's like, he's not bluffing.
yeah,
Like
get scared.
he it's like he pisses his pants right as he realizes he's in trouble.
Well, he reminds me of all those guys you grew up, those kids you grew up with, run their mouth, and then whenever they get smacked or some bully, a real bully comes around, they get all quiet, but then they still keep talking. Like, why you got your ass kicked 4 days this week, and we're on Friday, and you're about to get your ass kicked again, and you're still running your mouth, like that, and it's like I don't get why people they don't stop, but that guy, he's one of those, because we can compare I mean, Tommy Hayden Church, his character Billy Clanton, he's Ike Clanton's I guess brother. I guess family was a big deal back then because you needed to have, and that's what he says in White Earp the whole time.
Yeah.
Family's is
Was
like
it
the,
here? I've written down. Oh man, where nothing counts more than blood. Everyone else is just strangers.
and then that's what he like with a sorry where a bat Tom Sizemore's character goes, so we don't mean nothing to him, where he tells when they're the Skinners. Well, that's kind of cool though. I do like about White Earp is it shows you a story from the beginning kind of to the not to the end, but a progression.
I mean,
It sh-
essentially, yeah.
yeah, it shows you how you can do things when when you need it, when like looking at this point, you have these two brothers looking for work. They notice that this guy can do a lot of work on his own, but he's alone. Like, let me help you out, let's make some money. Like that's
It's like,
pretty
what
cool.
happened to all your Skinners? They're dead. That's just as good as leaving or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I like that for the character parts. But I mean Thomas Hayden's character, when before he gets killed the first time he goes up against Doc Holliday, and you really get to see how badass Doc Holliday is.
That's the first time he's like, I got one gun for the each of you.
Yeah, he goes, "You're so drunk, you're seeing double. Good, I got one for each of you." Also, when he does I asked Michael Bean about the hand. I go, "How long did it take you to learn that?" He goes, "That took a while," but he goes, "I practice a lot and to do the hand motions." But then Val Kilmer just Doc Holliday just does it with the cup, like mocking him. That's kind of like you kind of wonder what if Ringo and Doc Holliday were to be friends, but that's not ever going to happen because they're exactly the
The
same.
same person.
The
And even
same.
that's what Doc says. Like, no, I really hate him.
Yeah.
Once he figures out he's educated.
Now,
Um,
now I really hate him because
yeah, no.
he's he's such a smart ass. Oh, Johnny, I didn't see you there.
Yeah,
You make
yeah,
up.
he really is, man.
He
He's
does
like,
a good job.
I'm
Val
Johnny
Kilmer.
Ringo. Looks like somebody just walked over your grave.
Great. Oh, dude, his lines like, and so when I was asking Michael Bean, like, because you could see it, like, I go, if you went up against Wyatt Earp, you were gonna win. So you had to have that overzealous, that confidence. But then you saw Doc Holliday, then he's like, well, 'cause I thought he was gonna shit his pants, but he goes, I don't give that to you because you get the sense of it for a split second. But then I'm like, all right, let's go. And
Yeah,
it's basically let's find out who's number one. But guy shoots him right in the head, and then come on, come on,
come on.
come on. And then I mean, even the part where they go
You're
to the
no Daisy. You're no Daisy.
that's like that's it. That shows he's a villain. That's what I love about it. It shows he's a villain. Because Tombstone's total movie. So a little bit. You're
Yeah,
right. It's exaggerated. It'd be like if Doc Holliday was like in real life was like a rat, but they made him for the movie like a super villain. He's or like some some mad scientist, but in reality he's just a thief, petty thief. But I did see the OK Corral scene as okay, comparing it and seeing facts Yeah, I'm okay with it now. I was saying that the OK Corral one in Tombstone obviously is better because it's a movie, but you see the way Doc Kilmer holds the gun opposed to Dennis Quaid, and Dennis Quaid is like sticking it in there, hiding it, and it's like sticking
Mhm.
out, and then even Morgan comes up to Doc Holliday and goes, kill him, like go you get the green light, basically, and so now, so I got to change my point of view of Doc Holliday now. He's not the same character in both movies, and
No.
there's two different portrayals on purpose. Okay. All right. Then we're gonna. I prefer to see Val Kilmer's, but I understand Dennis Quaid's character now. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I
Um,
don't want to make him lose anything.
and the shootout scene too, where you just have their eyes and they're just going back and forth, and you're looking at their eyes, and then Doc Holliday winks at Thomas Hayden Church's
I.
character,
I.
and then that's when Wyatt Earp he sees
Oh
he's like,
shit.
yeah, and because you see, Thomas Hayden Church, he's just like, and then Doc Holliday winks at him, he's just like, he totally changes his facial expressions, and that's when Wyatt Earp was like, that's why he says, oh shit, is because it was kind of like what Gene Hackman said to him in
You
Wyatt
shoot
Earp, like,
first,
you shoot first, when, but you're gonna shoot first, because I thought that was a really cool scene too. Um,
dude. When
I
you do.
really Gene Hackman. I think that's why he's top billed in this movie, even though he gets, I mean, comparatively to the amount of time that they
Yeah.
have the screen for, he's on it for just a little bit. But he steals it, man. I mean, he's a great father figure as far as Wyatt Earp goes, and getting him out of jail, and it's like he shows him that, yeah, the law is what we go by, but you're my son, and I'm going to do everything I can to protect you.
Dude,
You know,
and that's that love he has. Like he like yeah, because he's a lawyer. That's another thing.
yeah,
Like his dad's a lawyer, so he's a little bit of privilege there, but not playing. But what
and
happens is I
he's
mean,
willing to risk his reputation to save his son.
well, I just love that whole part. Like, here's a gun. You got to go. You can't. There's gonna be a trial, but you're not gonna be there. And that, like, cause they're gonna kill you. Like, he already knows that. Like, I love that dad's like, dude, I gotta take care of my kid.
Hmm.
Gene Hackman. I like him in Enemy of the State too. But what was that, like
I haven't seen the
'97?
second one.
You haven't seen Enemy of the State?
No, I haven't seen him in the state too. I
There's a
was just
set.
joking.
Is there was
Sorry,
a
it was a
part?
bad dad joke. I apologize.
Uh,
Um,
no, I'm saying the reason I saw the, I don't wait, what a bad joke, because he plays a dad and I brought him in. No, I'm saying the reason I brought up that movie was because I was like, he looks older in that one, but I think they're like relatively right next to each other, where he looks like I was trying to say, I was looking at him, I was like, in this one he still looks very cleaned up, because there's the scene where he's at the table talking to his family,
mhm.
and Gene Hackman still looks like a respected guy, but then in not too many years down the line, you have Enemy of the State, he looks like a crazy old man. Well, I mean, I guess it's your movie, you make him look like that, but I was like, man, like they really turned him around. Like you look at a lot of his '90s performances, Gene Hackman's, like I think he's from the '70s, right, or maybe even before that. Like he's got a lot of movies in the '70s,
Whatever Superman. I mean, Superman, I think is
and
where he really popped off. If I could be wrong,
yeah, like
but
75 or something. Yeah, but he's got a long career. So for him to come in and you're right, for him to be top bill is supposed to be,
yeah,
you get the love that he has for his son, something you don't get in Tombstone. Also, you don't get the whole family. You get the family feel for Wyatt Earp, and in the movie Wyatt Earp, and that to just bring. I mean, I think just for us to accidentally just pick these two movies and then really figure out that they work well together. One is the backstory and one is the movie version and of it. I would think I actually like that I saw Tombstone first now and then saw the backstory, because I get the. I don't know. You like what would you prefer? What would you recommend, to watch Wyatt Earp first and then Tombstone, or Tombstone then Wyatt Earp?
that's a tough one. That really is. Because I feel like if you watch Wyatt Earp first, and having not seen either one of them, and then you watch Wyatt Earp first, you very well may get bored.
Yeah.
Um, and so I would say watch Tombstone first, just so you get an idea of what Wyatt Earp's about. If you want to get more, okay, yeah, watch Tombstone as a Wyatt Earp movie. Okay, if you want to get more of a history on Wyatt Earp,
Yeah.
watch Wyatt Earp for sure,
Yeah.
because you get that you get a feel of who Wyatt Earp is in Tombstone, but you get a more of a feel of where Wyatt Earp is in Wyatt Earp. And I want to say Wyatt Earp one more time because I've been saying it a lot, and I just want to cap that off.
What
Wyatt
movie?
Earp.
What movie did we watch today?
Wyatt Earp.
And then Tombstone, starring Kurt Russell, who plays.
Duck. Oh, Wyatt Earp. Yep,
Okay,
that's what it
just
was.
making
Yeah.
sure. And Sam Elliott plays who?
Virgil Earp.
Ah, not Wyatt Earp. All right.
No. I love that scene in Wyatt Earp though. Whenever he's like, he first meets Doc Holliday, he's like, Wyatt Earp, Wyatt Earp, Wyatt Earp, and then he's like, "You're not doing any favors by calling me that. Just call me Wyatt or call me
Or
Earp." Yep. And he's like,
Wyatt.
"All right, Wyatt." So, and that's why in Tombstone you have him just calling him Wyatt the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Man,
So I think it's kind of cool. With like I said, Tombstone first, then Wyatt Earp. That's my suggestion. What do you think?
yeah, I would go that route too. The way I did that, because it fills it in your head, and you're like, ah. And now that we've really broken it down, like for you helping me out, because Doc Holliday's character for Dennis Quaid was just in my head. I was like, what the hell's going on? But now, if you take away that he's like this awesome bass and make him a real sleazeball, like, oh, okay.
Like I said, I thought he did great. I mean, the accent was good. I felt like he played, um, a good character. It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't Val Kilmer, but I think I kind of went in expecting it wasn't going to be Val Kilmer, so that kind of helped too. Um,
Dude, I mean, I do want to talk about Powers Booth, Curly Bill. Man, he does a good job, man.
yeah, and he's almost like nothing in Wyatt Earp, like Curly
Yeah, he's
Bill.
like,
You hear his name and you know who he is. Actually, it was hard to even keep up who he was. But yeah, Powers Booth, man, he just that performance is fantastic. He has that just like laissez-faire attitude about just killing people. No care in the world. I mean, obviously, if you're just sitting in an opium den and you go out and kill somebody, I mean, it was that was another thing I wrote down is like whenever he goes out and starts shooting the moon, that's almost like that scene in Wyatt Earp where he's
oh
like he first gets that gun and all the fireworks are going off and he's just like practicing, you know?
so that part I caught too, where he shoots the sheriff because he has the gun upside down,
Mm-hmm.
right before, because Wyatt Earp's signature move, the pistol whip, right before Wyatt Earp pistol whips him. He's like, "Oh God, sheriff!" Like he's like, there's a point where he's like, "Oh, I didn't mean to do that." Like, "Oh shit," because he's just
Yeah.
all high. But I didn't pick up on that when I saw it the first few times. That's how I really picked up that there were, even the guy grabs, Wyatt Earp, he grabs the barrel of the gun thinking it's a bottle, and he just shoots him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, like I liked in Wyatt Earp, I did like how he is shooting. Like it's Ike, right? He's shooting him at the train station,
Yeah.
unloading his gun,
And
and then
just
Doc
shooting it and just
dude, he kills his brother. Like that's
yep.
you just shoot him. So Doc Holliday just comes, Wyatt, stop, and then he stops him, and then he picks it back up and shoots it again. That's kind of like I think it's Open Range, Kevin Costner, and I haven't
Mm-hmm.
really seen that movie, but I've seen like I've seen scenes of it, but I've seen the trailer where he goes, you're the one that killed my friend. Yep, pow, he just shoots him, and that has Robert Duvall in it.
Yeah. I've seen that one for sure.
John Corbett is also in Tombstone. Yeah, Tombstone. He's in My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Also in Sex in the
Oh
City.
yeah.
He's
Yeah.
in it. I forget he's in it. When I saw him, I was like, wait a minute, who's
I did
that?
too.
I was like, yeah. I was
Um,
like, who's that Ari Shafir looking dude with that beard? And I was like, oh wait, that's John Corbett. He's a younger version.
um oh man. I had something I forgot what it was.
I helped you lose it. Sorry.
Oh no, 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 it's
Let me help
fine.
you find it. Uh, what was it?
No, I can't. It's long gone, man. I don't even, not even close. I just want to kind of go through my notes here,
Go for it.
real quick. Urilla died of typhoid fever. Um, yeah, this is more of a biopic than Tombstone. Yeah, burns down house. Moves to Wichita. Oh yeah, drunk thief wants to die. That was another thing. He was wanting to die. I think that's why he just kept doing stupid stuff. Understand why.
Dude, the while you're going through that, the director, George P. Cosmatos, or Jorge P. Cosmatos, he died in 2005, RIP. But he directed, in his top four, he's got Rambo, Cobra, Tombstone, and Of Unknown Origin. And there are two Sylvester Stallone movies. I remember I said that Frank Stallone comes on Tombstone, so that's pretty cool that he had some. Those are some pretty badass movies. What is this Unknown Origins? I've probably seen it back in the day. It's a thriller. It's got, does that look like Peter Weller? Who's that? Yeah, Peter Weller. Yeah, Bart Hughes.
Yeah.
It says a man becomes destructively obsessed with killing a dangerous rat, which has taken residence in his recently renovated house. Oh, that's a sci-fi. So he's done some pretty good movies here, action. So I guess you can take the Rambo and put it into Tombstone, and if you settle it down, oh, okay, I can see that happen.
What was it? I had Tombstone had more dry humor than Wyatt Earp. Here, whenever Wyatt, he's like, "Oh, Wyatt, you're an oak." Whenever he's talking about the actress and everything, and then he meets up with her later, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm an oak, all right." And just, I just thought that was pretty funny. He was like, "Oh, he was in there. Doc was playing the piano and everything, and then Thomas Hayden Church is like, "Hey, is this person? You know, Canta's like."
Yeah.
It's like, "No, it's Nocturne." He's like, "What's that?" It's like Frederick fucking Chopin. Like,
Yeah. See, and that's what I did love about Tombstone, where they have to get along. Like these are like bad people, so like that's I've been in the bars where like half the left side of the bar, like they hates each other on the right side, and you're kind of like, I'm like, it's just convenient for me to show up at this place, so I'm just showing up, and then you see that kind of like they kind of cross a little bit, but then they hate each other because they talk bad about each other. I like that they showed that in there. I was like, yeah, they're still around each other. Like they build up that whole like, this is why I want to kill you. Like, because it's just, dude, the Wild West, man. That it does show a Tombstone and in White Earp, it shows you who comes to kill and who comes to cry. Well, what do you have? What other notes you got before we move on?
let's see here. Oh, one thing that I never really a good quote from Doc Holliday and Tombstone that I really never thought of, because you always like, "I'm your Huckleberry," and it's like, "Oh, you're a daisy if you do." At the very end, whenever he's in the Glenwood Sanatorium, he's like, "There is no normal life, just life," and I thought that was a really cool quote. It was probably written by some dude. Doc Holliday probably didn't say it, but man, that's a good line. It really is.
That is a good line, and that reminds me of one of CJ Smartass comments. So I showed up late to something, and it was like a minute later or something. Like somewhere I was supposed to be, like I said it right now, and then I said now something, and they're like, "You guys always say what right now, and you never do it till like later." I go, "Well, what's the difference between right now and now? What is the difference between right now and now?"
You're right.
Now, it's like, no, I'm saying, I was like, because I was being a smart ass, and I was like, all right, you can put me on the spot, all right. And I was like, I'll do it now. Wait, so you're gonna do it now? You're gonna do it right now? I go, well, what's the difference if I do it now or right now?
Yeah.
And then
if
they're
you're doing
like,
it now or later, then you're just eating candy.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm like, what is the difference if you're doing it now? You're doing it now. If you're doing it right now, you're doing it now. Actually, right now it takes longer than now, because I have to say right and now. So I guess I don't know. When you said that right now, he's right. There is no normal life. It's just life.
Just life.
That's he dies at the end, right? That they do show his death, because
in Tombstone, yeah.
Tombstone they showed. We also have who else did I want to give a little shout out to? I had it highlighted and I dropped it. No, sorry. I had somebody else I wanted to give a shout out to before we move on, but
yeah, I have in my notes on Wyatt Earp, was that fire planned? And then right after, it must have been like right before. That's what it was. So whenever Bill Pullman gets shot in Wyatt Earp, you know how his like jacket catches on fire?
yeah.
Do you think that was like part of it, or do you think that just kind of like happened and they kept it in?
Man, like I think they did that on purpose.
You think so? Because I mean, you would have like those shots. It would look like, you know what I'm saying?
I want to re-see it again, because I've always seen that. I always thought that was a cool effect. But unless he's
like patting it out.
Yeah, but I mean, but I think, okay, so let's think about it if I'm the director and you're my actor.
Uh-huh.
And no, I think it has to be on there because there's no squib that would be a fire, don't you think?
Yeah, but what if it goes wrong?
I think he would have panicked. I don't unless he's that Bill Pullman's that
He
good of that where
I,
he's just like.
I
I
mean,
mean,
hell,
I don't see panic.
Leonardo DiCaprio cut his damn hand up in Django Unchained and kept going.
Oh, that's true. That's
Don't
real
and
blood. That's
I
real
mean, don't
blood.
yeah, and don't get me wrong, like I don't want to say that Leonardo DiCaprio is a better actor than Bill Pullman because
No, you're
come
not
on,
comparing
guys.
them. But
No. But let's see here. Let's look in the trivia because I feel like it would be.
what do you think? Before you see the answer, what do you think?
I don't think it was planned.
Do you think it's happened by accident?
I think it was an accident because I don't know. I just don't. I think it was a really cool shot, and they were like, "Oh, that's kind of cool," and they kept it in there.
All right, let's see if you can find it real quick. 'Cause I
All
want to
right.
say it's not. I want to say it was planned, but that's pretty cool. That I thought that was one of the better shots in that movie because Tombstone has a lot of great shots, but it's meant to be to have a lot of good shots. Actually, there's a cool scene. There's a cool shot at the end where they shoot. I guess it is Billy or Curly Bill, and they shoot him, and it shows Wyatt up close up of Wyatt Earp's face, and then Doc Holliday's in the back on the horse, and it's kind of a cool little shot there. Like they're both in the same angle.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sean Connery was considered the role of Nicholas Earp.
Connery,
Interesting.
R.I.P.
Right. Oh yeah, man.
On
That's
Halloween.
why is this in
What is it?
it says Wyatt Earp appears in some Marvel comics. Like that's one of the
Mm,
okay. That just seems. Oh, hey, they actually mentioned the war, the one that you were talking about. That movie.
uh huh.
Kevin Costner and Mayor Winningham
What did they say?
both appear in that.
Ah,
Uh,
let's go through the ratings, and
yeah,
we'll find out later.
spoilers.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
let's see. I'm close to the end. Let me see here. Yeah, it doesn't have anything on here. I'm just gonna go with that was an accident and it was really cool. Uh,
We'll find it out. We'll look it up. We'll see if we can do some
yeah,
research because I do would like to know about that because that looks kind of. I think they planned it though, but if it wasn't, it was just caught in the shot. That's pretty cool. I would also like to know because I think Jason Priestley and Billy Zane's characters. I think they had an affair or they're gay. I
yeah,
think there's a thing, and
and it would totally make sense.
because he's holding his hand but they don't really show the connection. But then I think about it like they probably had something under.
And even Curly Bill says that's the most beautiful man I've ever seen.
That's true, and you know
He kind of seemed like he was pretty close to Billy too.
I gotta say that Curly Bill, Powers Bruce, you like him in a way.
Yes, yeah.
He's kind of just like your sleazebag uncle, where you're like Billy Bob Thornton's character in Tombstone. He looks like one of my cousins from West Texas, and even they say Abilene in Wyatt Earp, and I'm like, oh, that's where my cousin's from, Abilene. But he looks like one of my cousins. I was like, oh, there he is. All right, so let's see. Tombstone on IMDb was given a 7.8 out of 10 stars out of 126,366 votes. Wyatt Earp, on the other hand, let me see, on IMDb was given
6.7.
6.7 out of 10 stars out of 45,470. I'm glad at least 45,000 people watched this thing because it's long. And you're right. So yeah, watch Tombstone first and then go back to Wyatt Earp to get the backstory. So let's see what the
Oh, go to Rotten Tomatoes, man.
let me do the all right on Tombstone.
Yeah, let's do Tombstone first. First off, I don't know. Whenever you pull up Rotten Tomatoes and Tombstone, is Mia Kunis on there?
Yes.
Why?
I think there's another Tombstone.
I mean, I'm not mad about it, but it's definitely the Tombstone that we're watching.
Mila Kunis,
70
ha 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 ha.
74%. All right, sorry. 74% on the tomato meter out of 46. The critics' consensus we have: if you're seeking a stylish, modern Western with a solid story and a well-chosen ensemble cast, Tombstone is your Huckleberry. I think that nails it, honestly. That's a great little snippet. Audience score is going to be 94%. Not surprising at all. This
So
movie is fucking great.
out of the tomato meter, 46 people voted, and out
Yeah.
of the audience, 195,510.
So almost
So
200,000 people.
almost 294. Yeah.
All right, let's go over to Wyatt Earp. All right, released 6 months later. So everybody got their Tombstone fix, and they were like, "Yeah, we need another Wyatt Earp movie."
Well, it's
Um,
not bad. Not as bad as I thought. Not as That's not bad.
no,
Critics' consensus: easy to admire yet difficult to love. Wider, Barry's eye-catching direction, and an impressive cast in an undisciplined and overlong story. Hmm.
that's
If you watch it as a film, then yes, you would think that. Got a 46 tomato meter out of 28 votes and
that's
61.
not a whole lot of votes, honestly. Out of
And I mean, you
28,
got to. I mean, to watch the whole movie though, it's kind of hard.
yeah, but
But
at least the audience score brought it up at 61%. I feel like that's a reasonable audience score. Yeah,
let me chime in real quick. I will say that I think the way before I spoke to you on this, 61 is definitely where I'm at. I feel like you would be more like at 84. And now after talking to you, I think this is more of an 84. I think it's like a little bit higher than that. You got to see it. Yes, you're right. You got to see it as a biography. Do not watch this like it's a movie. Don't sit there thinking you're gonna like. You could watch a 3 hour MCU movie because they have action and fact. Like this is different. This is a slower burn, but it's not super slow. It's not like 70s. It's a good story. It's just a lot. It's just
yeah,
that's all it is. It's a good story. It's a bunch of scenes. It's a lot. You can actually break this up in 3 1 hour movies.
yeah. And I saw on the trivia it was originally conceived as a 6 hour miniseries,
Oh
so it makes
shit.
sense.
So they took it
Um,
down. They cut it down from 6 hours
mhm,
to do this. So they were trying. Okay, that makes so much sense. So they
yeah,
basically were trying to salvage what they were doing. They probably made a miniseries and then they realized we can't make any money or they messed up, so they made a movie. Oh, we got some more research to do. That's cool.
yeah. Also, um, I think from the very beginning, whenever I first started watching Wyatt Earp and I saw that he was a kid, right after that Tombstone scene, I was like, okay, cool. This is gonna be like Tombstone at the very beginning, and then it just like goes back to a cornfield, and he's a kid again. I'm like, oh, okay. Like I had to turn off my like Tombstone app.
I got you. I
I
got
was just
you.
like, I turned that off. I was like, okay, this is gonna be like his entire life,
Yeah, yeah.
and I I prepared myself for that. I went into it knowing it was going to be 3 hours long too, so I was
No, dude, I
kind of
told you I saw an hour and then I saw like an hour 27 of it. And I was like, how long is this damn movie? I was like, oh,
yep,
3 hours. That's why I texted. I was like, I'm so sorry. But then I'm happy
yeah,
you're like, don't worry, bro, I already went through it. I was like, okay, well, he's cool with it.
yeah.
So I'll
No,
say
I looked it up on IMDb right before I watched it, and I said, "Damn you, CJ." No,
because it does. I mean, it's a so Tombstone is. Oh no, sorry.
it's almost an hour shorter.
Eh,
Like,
yeah,
but
yeah.
see, that's the thing, man. Like, they made 2 hours of Tombstone, and then like you could have just had an hour of build up with Wyatt Earp, and you would have been fine. Like, all right, cool. He gets his wife, she dies. Cool.
Yeah.
We just move it along, but I get it.
131 minutes running time for Tombstone, 190 minutes for Wyatt Earp. Budget was 63 million. Unfortunately, only box office 25.1, where Tombstone was doubled its money at 25 million budget and box office 56.5. So it was good. I mean, I think this might have been more DVD sales, VHS sales
Are
too.
you talking for Tombstone or Wyatt Earp?
Yeah, for Tombstone is 25 million and it made 56, and Wyatt Earp was 63 and it made 25.
I don't know, man. With the release on Christmas Day and that kind of build up with Kurt Russell, I feel like they
It
could
was
have hauled in quite a bit. Let's see, opening weekend, 6 million. Oh, you might have been right. U.S. gross was 56 million.
yeah.
Budget was 25 million estimated. And I guess it was just
It's also a
it,
timepiece, man. A lot of people,
yeah.
I feel like because
It's
with
sorry.
Wyatt
What were you gonna
Earp, it
say?
doesn't. I have no nostalgia with it, like zero. And I
Yeah.
saw this when I was younger. I just don't remember it. So I was like, but then man, I'm happy to talk to you about this because I was like, this is a horrible movie, but it's not a movie. It's more of it's a biopic.
Also, let's take a look at even the posters behind you. Tombstone is a lot more light. It's a lot like you. It's a lighter film. Even with the posters. I
Uh,
mean, Wyatt Earp is dark. Tombstone, it's a light.
dude, it's got
Exactly.
I was gonna say it's got this badass cover on it.
And it does. It's a badass cover, but Tombstone is more of like, let's go see that, man. Like, it's bright colors, stuff
O-
like that.
On the cover of of Wyatt Earp, it says a masterpiece romantic, heroic, and passionate. And a masterpiece has an exclamation mark. It says Pat Collins, WWOR TV New York, whatever. But I feel like you can use that word masterpiece for both these movies.
Oh yeah,
And
even
now,
more
and now
so
I'm
for Tombstone.
and now talking to you about this and really trying to like understand more or less of like why this movie, I'm not just why it exists, but like, dude, this is a great way to start season two because I really was looking at this like as like a movie. You can't look at it like a movie. You got to put your hat on. You got to have your right hats on. And that's I think what we learned in season one. As at the end of season one, I was really like, all right, what have I gained from this? And you gotta go into the world of the movie. You can't think that this is the only way it is. No, there's multiple ways to write, tell, do whatever you want to do a story.
So I want to. This is where I read about Kevin Costner with Tombstone. I'm going to read this. This is from Wikipedia,
Okay.
so it has to be true. Um, Costner was originally involved with the film Tombstone, another film about Wyatt Earp, written by Kevin Jarre of Glory. I guess he wrote Glory as well. However, Costner disagreed with Jarre over the focus of the film. He believed that the emphasis should have been on Wyatt Earp rather than many characters that in Jarre's script. So kind of what we talked about right there. And he left the project, eventually teaming up with Kasdan to produce his own Wyatt Earp project. The film was also originally meant to be a 6-hour miniseries until Kevin Costner joined the cast. Costner proceeded to use his then considerable clout to convince most of the major studios to refuse to distribute the competing film, which affected casting on the rival project. Interesting.
So he messed it up.
Well, he tried to make Tombstone not as good, and in fact made it better. Um, and then critical reception for Wyatt Earp received mixed reviews from critics. And then it goes on to say the Rotten Tomatoes, but the box office from Wyatt Earp released 6 months after Tombstone and was less successful of the two films, taking in $25 million on a $63 million budget. So it actually had yeah. Oh, okay. Never mind. And then compared to Tombstone's 56 million domestic gross on a 25 million budget. So Tombstone's budget was what Wyatt Earp made.
Yeah, but you're
And
looking at Wyatt Earp. It's a 6-part. It was originally a 6-part series.
yeah,
So
it's also a 3-hour long movie. You got
yeah,
to go to the movies and see it three. Like even the Hateful Eight, Quentin Tarantino movie, and I love Tarantino movies. I was like, I'll wait for that one.
Kurt Russell.
Yeah, I mean,
He's in it.
was,
I haven't seen Hateful Eight though. I've seen the scene. I've seen some of the scenes, but it's long. I'm gonna have to do my thing with it. So we're at that time. Let's see. I think we need to see what we gotta rate ourselves because we're at 2 hours already. We're at 152 around. So
I have 156. We'll go off of yours.
No. So no, I started off. So we're at 4 minutes. But there's 4 minutes. You're ahead of me for 4 minutes before you're in the future. What do you think? What do you want to do? What do you want to do for scores? What are you thinking? You want me to go first? You want to go first? I think. Do you want to go? I want to hear what you got to say. But I also
want to hear what you think of Tombstone first.
Okay, yeah, because I feel like you have a lot more to offer on Tombstone. And okay, well, side by side, movie wise. Tombstone's gonna like, what's up?
Wait, so since this is season 2, let's just do a little review. We're 20 episodes in. All right. This is how we do our reviews. Me and CJ. This is how we do it on Side by Side. We rate movies 1 through 13. Okay. We'll just give you a little breakdown. 1 through 10. All right. That's just going to be a regular movie. Like a 10 is a really good movie. All right. An 11, I mean, it's going to be, you crank it up to 11. All right. Your 12s and 13s are going to be like legendary movies. These are movies that you have to see, that you make sure, like if you tell somebody to see a movie, it's going to be a 13. That's how we feel here on Side by Side. CJ, would you agree with that?
I totally agree with you. And I want to say thank you for keeping me in check because I'm running into this, forgetting that this is the beginning of season 2. So you got to kind of
just at the beginning, man.
We're just at the beginning, man. You thought there's no pause. It was just a slight pause. We took a few days off to kind of let ourselves hang out. Now we're back at it. I'll say this. Yeah. So remember, there are no zeros in Side by Side because if you got something completed, we give you credit because That's
It's
hard
like
to
the
do.
SATs. If you put your name on it, you're getting points.
Are you getting points? So the 10, 11. So sorry. The 1 through 10 is what I would consider the standard score, and then we have our 11, 12, and 13, which is the cream of the top. Side by side, comparatively, these two movies, comparing Tombstone to Wyatt Earp. When I first came in with that mindset of like Tombstone is just a way better movie. Wyatt Earp as a movie is it's really hard to swallow. It's a lot of time, a lot of information, and in fact, if I didn't see Tombstone first, I feel like I would have got a little bit lost with Wyatt Earp because it's just the characters are just so drawn out. But now that I like, but this is what side by side makes me love about it. As you watch our other episodes, earlier episodes, like there are times where I talked to Ben and he cranks up my score more because it changes my perspective and the way I watch it. And this did it again.
Sometimes you do the same for me.
Yeah, sometimes. Very rare, but it will happen.
I'm a hard cookie. Sorry.
But I'll say, like with Wyatt Earp, watching it and understanding that it was part of a 6-part series. Now you fill yourself in with that. Like I could look that up, but it's us talking about it and him sharing it. It gives it more meaning for me about the whole process of watching a movie and understanding it. And side by side, comparatively, Tombstone is a movie. I don't know if you gathered, listen to me. I'll say Wyatt Earp is more of it's definitely a biopic. It's a longer narrative. I feel like if you watch Tombstone first, like I said earlier, you watch Tombstone first, and then you watch Wyatt Earp, you'll definitely get more of a backstory. That all being said, if I was to put Tombstone compared to other cowboy movies that I like, or from that time, that Western, man, this one definitely it's a 12. It's a 12 for me.
Respectable.
Almost. Oh no, I called it a. No, it's a 13. That's why it was a 12. Okay, it's a 12. Okay, everybody, this is what I forgot to tell. I told myself I didn't write this down. I told myself I'm gonna tell Ben a 12. That's what I'm starting off with. Let's see if he can crank me up to a 13, and he did. Just a what? Because it's hard. A 13 is really hard. I gave away like 6 13s in season 1, but we didn't know, or we found our way there.
To be fair, a lot of our 13s, and this is kind of just speaking on my end too, but I feel like CJ kind of feels the same way. If we have a nostalgic factor with it, it will definitely boost up our score. And that 13 is normally going to be with movies that we have connections to. I feel like these are movies that we really keep close to our hearts and that we know a lot about. And stuff like that. So cranking it up to a 13, I love it. That's great,
dude. Because even before we did this, I was like, I know it's going to be at 11. So let's see if I get to a 12. Let's see if I can crank it to 13. And I go, okay, I'm at the 12. Let's see if Ben can give me a 13. But because I was like, dude, Tombstone is going to roll Wyatt Earp. Like as a movie, it is.
Yeah.
But if you take these two beauties and you stick them together, and you work them together, you get like you enhance Tombstone and Wyatt Earp. It's good. I want to hear your score for Tombstone first, but my Tombstone score, because of Tombstone in this podcast, affected Wyatt Earp tremendously.
Enhance.
And by the way, I would like to just say that stereotypes happen all the time, and I don't know how this happened, but I'm the brown IT guy for this podcast and on my other podcast. if any technical computer issues happen at my house, I take care of them, but I'm not one of those brown IT guys. It's a stereotype, but somehow I fall right into it.
You do it fantastically, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because I was just laughing. I'm sorry, that's an outside joke in my head. Because I was just like, when I was troubleshooting this past 4 days, because I had an issue with editing. And then I was like, I'm the damn brown IT guy in this. I should understand this. And then I understood it. And I was like, oh God, this damn stereotype. I get it. Anyways, Ben, what you think?
Oh, what do I think about Tombstone?
It's about this movie right here that I have in VHS in my hand.
Oh, is that a book or what is that?
That was cool. You said that. I sent Ben a picture of the movies I got from I think it was, we went to Half Price Books, and he goes, "Oh, Tombstone looks like." I had one. Well, no, I had a few VHSs next to DVDs, but he goes, "It looks like a book compared to Wyatt Earp," and I'm like, "This does look like a book."
Yeah.
But sadly I did not watch it on VHS. My VCR was acting up, so. So
I
I
was gonna
have to.
see if it had like the crackly feature on there.
It probably does, man.
Um, yeah, VCRs, man. I used to have a TV VCR combo where I would literally have to. uh, I got it in second grade, and I used it up until probably high school, right? And it got to the point where I would have to push in the VHS, eject it, push it in, eject it, push it in, eject it until it worked. Like it would finally click in the right way, and then it was perfect.
And this is this one of those that where the TV was on top of the VCR?
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
okay, so apparently the weight of the TV always over time would, and you got a lot of uses out of it. You could get there's it was that
Mhm.
little, was it like a yellow one or what color? Black,
No, it was like a little gray one.
gray
It
one?
was probably 15-inch,
Yeah,
TV,
apparently
a
the
little box TV,
uh,
like it had a whole little box on the back and everything. But yeah, no, I was very patient with it because I just wanted to watch movies, man. I wasn't sitting there getting mad. I did have a remote for it for a while, and then I think I lost the remote, so I just had to just sit up there and just hit eject at the
yeah.
VCR. Um, but yeah, no, I mean, and that was also at the time where we were like we'd order pay-per-view movies and then
Yeah,
um
oh yeah. Give it your
that way you
VHS
didn't
copy.
have to just go and buy a movie. You bought it for, oh gosh, those
Well,
those pay-per-views were like $10 for the whole day or something like that. Maybe even
yeah,
more.
and the VHS, depending where you got them, you can get like for $6, you can get like 7 or 8 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your
But
score, bud? What was what's the score gonna be for Tombstone here? You gotta give it a perfect score there. You gotta go with
13.
a 13.
It is a 13.
Now
I
is
grew up
this?
watching this movie, man. This is a movie that is quoted all too often. I'm your Huckleberry, you
I'm
know?
your Huckleberry.
Uh why Johnny Ringo looks as though somebody just walked over your grave. I
That's a
always used to mess it
frightening.
up and say, looks like you just seen a ghost. Um but yeah, man, it's a fun ride. Like I said, even from the very beginning, I mean, you have that whole scene with the cowboys where you you're introduced to the villains first. I think that's a really cool, opening scene. Like you
Oh,
know it's about Wyatt Earp, you know it's about Tombstone, but those are the first people you see. That's where you get drawn in. And even with Johnny Ringo, you have that ominous, like, that's a pale horse when death rides upon him, and hell follows with him. And even Kurt Russell later on says, "And hell's coming with me. Hell's coming with me." So, and that pre is it's kind of cool in that aspect of like that priest was predicting these guys' futures. I mean, it was coming to them. You even have like what is it? Whenever Lou and Allie and Maddie are all sitting in the house together, and she's like, she has the tarot cards, and she's like,
yeah.
death and Tower of Babel and the devil and all this other stuff. So you
I-
you have a lot of foreshadowing in this movie, even though you already know what's going to happen. Like this is a movie that's written as though people don't know the history of this, and I think that just makes it even that much better. You
Yeah.
know,
Well, yeah,
it it,
because
it yeah.
no,
Sorry,
yeah, it
we're
gives you.
gonna say
You're right. You don't even have to know the history about this movie. It's a great movie just to hand in hand, just to
yeah,
watch. You're about the tarot reading cards, like the foreshadowing and all that. Like even that part, the Earps, that part of their family, they ignored it. It's like, oh, could you play like normal cards?
yep.
And it's like, and there she's like, look, it's
And
like
that's the
the
night that Virgil, gets shot, and Morgan gets
well,
shot.
Morgan
You
gets
know,
killed, yeah, and
yeah,
then I mean, yeah, the whole um I don't know, family, you get the presence of family in Tombstone without them talking about it, where in White Earp they talk about family a
you
lot.
you you really get it in Wide Earp,
Yeah.
and even Josephine. I mean, she plays the devil in the play, whereas you see her in Dodge City in Wyatt Earp, and then he sees her again in Tombstone. He sees her that first time,
Hmm.
but she plays the devil, and she still steals Wyatt away from Maddie. So she kind of is like, you get that, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like,
because she has like
there's,
devilish moves.
yeah, and she even says like, "Oh, I'm spoiled rotten," "Oh, my family's rich," all this other stuff. Like, she's that
Th-
spoiled brat.
th-
But Wyatt likes that because he's just I don't know. I don't
That,
know
now,
why
now I
it
remember
likes
why.
it so
Now I
much.
remember why I was gave this a 12 and I was waiting to talk to you, moving up to 13, because I was like, I took at the end. It's a corny ending. It's kind of a corny ending where he's like, I have no money. He's like, oh, I got rich parents. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
that's it. That's like, oh,
which
okay.
I feel like that. Like I said, with Wyatt Earp, they obviously go off to Alaska, and it's like, oh, they're going to be looking for gold and stuff like that and everything. Um, but you don't get the feel like he lost everything in Tombstone.
No,
You feel like that he was somewhat successful there, whereas in Tombstone, it's like, oh, I'm a beat down, broken lawman. I just don't have anything left. My brothers are all dead and maimed and everything like that. And he dies in Los Angeles. Uh, I thought that was an interesting thing that Wyatt Earp, he's getting these Hollywood movies made about him, and that's where he dies is Hollywood.
well, maybe because he was around when Tinseltown was, and they're like, hey, this guy,
And his family was also in California at the time.
yeah.
His dad and mom, they settled in California. And I thought that was another cool thing about Wyatt Earp is at the beginning you have Gene Hackman, his wife is like, you're always moving around, da 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 da, you'll never settle down. And neither does Wyatt. I mean, even at the very end, like he's going to Alaska. He's always off on a new adventure. He's never settled down.
You
And
get
he even tries to in Tombstone, but it doesn't work out.
well, as I was saying in Tucson, you pick up on that, but you get it in Wyatt Earp. You're right, in that he wants to go be more adventurous because it's in his DNA. You get that in Wyatt Earp. You don't get that in Tombstone. See, now we're scoring Wyatt Earp, and then really not, man, a 46 and a 61. Dude, no, to me, like I would say yes. If this was a movie that's 61, I would give this around a 6 or a 7. But
Okay, if Tombstone was not made and you just had Wyatt Earp,
God,
it probably
it'd be
wouldn't.
like a 4.
Yeah, it would not be. It would not be as good. Like
Yeah,
Tombstone and Wyatt Earp, like it brings it up a lot. I feel like. But what's your score on Wyatt Earp?
like I said, man, you're right. You just got me with another stumper. I was saying like, I'm cool with a 60. I would give it like if before side by side, it was already looking at like a 6, 5 or 6, like real low. And then I was thinking and talking. I was like, okay, it got to like an 8 or a 9. But I think I'm gonna say a 9.
Yeah,
I like around an 8 or a 9, and not as a filmmaker and a movie watcher. It is long, but it keeps you got to want to stay with it. I like it too. Like it's worth the payoff. It's worth staying to the end. It's worth like if you watch Avengers, it's 2.5 hours, and but you're in there. It's got your attention because it's like, "Grr," but this is not like that. This even the fight scenes in here aren't like Tombstone, but they're still good fight scenes. Um, I mean, for crying out loud, it's a mini series that they condensed down to a like a bibliography. Uh, I'm comfortable with saying it's a 9, but I wouldn't recommend. I'd have a little like tag with or something to go with it, just to say like, hey, it's a 9 if you're into like movies, if you're into westerns, if you're Wyatt Earp, if you're into like
history. Yeah,
history, this is a 9, a solid 9 and 8. But if it says a movie, it's looking at a 6.
yeah,
Yeah. What do you got for it?
a 10. I thought it was a solid movie. I really did. I thought it did keep my attention for 3 hours, which I feel excuse me, I feel like it's hard to do for a western. Um, they can get a little um, long-winded, and this one kind of does. But it moves at a slow pace, but it does have a pace. It keeps pace. He moves to another city, and then he moves to another city.
Yeah.
So you do get something different, and it's constantly building up a character that, like I said, if you watch Tombstone first and you see this badass Wyatt Earp, and you're just like, hell yeah, and then you go and watch Wyatt Earp in the beginning, you're just like,
The
what the hell?
struggle,
Like
yeah.
how does he get where he's at in Tombstone? And then you finally get to Tombstone and Wired Up, and you're like, okay, yeah, he is badass. Like he is at that point. Like he's a cold, calculating man. He loves his brothers. Even the wives are like, I'm your wife. Is that better than a brother? He's like, no. Like he's straightforward with them.
They
Um,
leave, they cheat, and they die. That's so
yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
That's like
and he was deadly serious about that, especially since he had that, his first love goes and
Yeah.
dies, right as they're about to have a child. Um, so you see that hurt and everything, and even Gene Hackman's character Nicholas Earp comes in and is like, "That's what life is. It's loss, and then you
Pants.
move on."
Yeah.
And it's just a it's a movie about life. It's a movie about living your life and making mistakes, but then learning from those mistakes and getting better. And you know, even,
Dude, just right there, just by saying that, getting better. This movie,
yeah,
he gets better, and it's the reason he only gets shot like one time because it's just like,
I don't think well, I thought that was a funny scene too, where Maddie's like, "You're only a Earp brother that hadn't been shot," and then
yeah,
like what that scared the shit out of me. I'll be honest with you. I was like, "Oh man." um, but yeah, man, it's a story about life. It's a story about a man's life, but a legendary man, a myth, really. Because excuse me, even at the end, where this guy's telling him the story, it's like, "This is how I heard it happened." And he's like, he even tells Josie, he's like, I can't remember if it happened that way. That's the way it happened.
yeah.
So you even get that little bit of validation of like, this is how the story is going to be told from here on out. It may not have happened exactly that way, but
This is a story. Yeah,
this is the story.
even like in
And I think you get that with Wyatt Earp. That's essentially this movie altogether is like, this may not be an exact, you know, it's not a documentary. It's a movie. It's meant to make money,
yes,
but they're telling it in a way that is as true as they can make it. Um, I give it a solid 10. I would definitely recommend this, like you said, to anybody who likes Westerns, biopics, anything like that. If they like history,
timepiece too. It's a good one for
timepiece.
timepiece. I everything you just said, I agree. I agree with. I gotta say, dude, it's easy to laugh in the beginning of this movie, but there's a point like maybe right at the hour and 45 mark, it turns into like a really solid. Once he gets to be Wyatt Earp, it gets real solid at the end. You kind of have to bear through the beginning part. It's not bad. It's not like it's like you're there just like, oh shit. It's just longer. It's a little bit longer, but yeah, I mean, if you do your time and if you really want to break this down and do it 1 hour a day for 3 days, it's easy manageable like that. If I was a teacher teaching history, I would totally pick this and be like, make my students watch this and see what they get from it. It is a great movie. And you said something right now that I kind of slipped in my mind, but it's basically saying that the way the story goes, it's a good story in this. The outside's not too bad. The way it was shot, it's really not too bad. It's a really good like film wise, but the story is it's pretty good. Story is really good in this, layered in it. You get more. If you can, like I said, if you can keep up with the characters in your head, they kind of don't. They just kind of lay them on you. If you can kind of keep up with them, it makes for a good story. It makes for a good time. But that being said, we are about to wrap this one up, and we got to move on because we don't know where we're going.
No clue.
So we do know that we gave this at least a 13 for the Tombstone. And I want to ask you, is this in your top 10?
Oh yeah, it's tied for the top movie of my.
Oh,
Yeah, this and Jurassic Park are probably tied for my.
we hit your number one.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think we brought up my number one. We haven't done it. But we gotta
And
document this.
we've already done Jurassic Park too.
Yeah.
So it's like I said, it's in between those two. Whenever people say like, "What's your favorite movie?" Those are the two I say. It really just depends on the day. I'll be like, Jurassic Park or Tombstone. Like,
Dude, we spun off from we finished season one with Jurassic Park. You're one of your first good movies, and we started season
yeah.
two with you. That's a good. I like that. I mean, I didn't. I
So
didn't
are we
think.
watching Encino Man next? Or
That's just my number 3.5. I was also gonna suggest we could keep doing like let's find we can from because you're right. There are a lot of actors and actresses we can pick from this. Find a movie that we can kind of just see how we get here and see if we can compare it to. I didn't know this was gonna go hand in hand like this. This is great. Like this is
yep.
organically happened. But I don't know if I were to pick. I mean, because we already did Harold and Kumar, a very Harold and Kumar Christmas, which isn't my favorite movie, but it's a spinoff of my favorite movie. Um, let's go down our actors list. We got Kurt Russell,
Have
Val Kilmer.
Gene Hackman to
Hack.
pull
I kind
from.
of want to. I
I
kind of
mean,
want to do a Hackman movie. I
I
kind of
mean,
want to.
we also did talk a lot about Michael Madsen too.
Dude, dude, I'll do Michael Madsen movies.
I mean, and we already kind of touched Tarantino, but we really didn't hit Tarantino.
Dude, if you're, dude,
Season
I
one.
mean, we got Reservoir Dogs. We got Reservoir
We got
Dogs,
Kill Bill.
Kill
He was in that.
Bill. We got.
He
Oh
was
no,
a
we're
Vega, he was a Vega brother too. So you also have Vincent Vega and
Vincent Vega, yeah.
so
Oh, well, I'm
both
saying
those
if we're gonna do a Michael Madsen movie, we gotta do one where he's the actor though, or this. And I know he's the main guy in Species, like the main actor.
Let's see
That's a
here. Oh, he
sci-fi
was in the
movie.
Hateful Eight too. Once upon a time, and I keep on saying Tarantino movie. Let's see. Filmography.
Hateful Eight is 2 hours and 48 minutes. Yeah, that's freaking.
Oh Jesus, no, that's the short versions.
Oh,
Like they have a 3 hour long one too.
God.
Let's see here.
Let's see
Take
Gene
it
Hackman real
away.
quick.
Well, yeah, let's do some Gene Hackman. Let's look at
Let's get some.
Oh,
Man.
Michael Madsen was in Scary Movie 4. Fun fact.
Mm,
He was also in Sin City. I like that movie a lot.
that's a good one.
It's
All Night
also
Long.
Robert Rodriguez, right? Or no, that's
No, Sin City is Robert Rodriguez. He did 1 and 2. It's The Spirit is someone else, and it's kind of similar. If that's what we're on talking about. Let's see. He's in all Supermans from the 70s and 80s. 94 Wyatt. He's in Poseidon, Postcards. I want to see. Oh, he's in The French Connection. Yeah, he's the French Connection.
Well, you mentioned earlier that you don't really know a whole lot of Dennis Quaid movies.
Yeah, we can go there. I also wanted to tell you that the genre movies, I wouldn't mind doing something from like the 50s, like a 1950s, like Bela Lugosi, Dracula, or something like a sci-fi movie from back then, William Castle or something. I'm open to a lot of that. Let's see, Dennis Quaid, The Day
The
After
Right Stuff.
Day After Tomorrow, Far From Heaven, Frequency, and Good
Frequency,
Company.
that has Jim Caviezel in it too, right?
Jim Caviezel, yeah, Frequency. I have only seen this once. I actually don't. You know what this one reminds me of?
Huh.
Frequency reminds me of Stir of Echoes with Kevin Bacon. It's only because the way the story's kind of. I think if it's
let's see here. Flight of the Phoenix. No, there was one I just saw.
Oh yeah, he did Flight of the Phoenix. He was pretty decent in that one.
Traffic. No, that's not what it was.
Dragonheart with Sean Connery.
Sean Connery. Yes. What did I just see that? Oh, The Alamo with Billy Bob Thornton.
Wait, are we doing? Oh, there goes Robin Williams. He just fell. Are we still sticking with?
Should we do Robin Williams? Was he trying to tell us something?
I think he is. Okay, so I have
that totally came out of left
field. Yeah, he did. This just fell.
Hey, please put that over your face.
How you doing? Hey, how's it going, Ben? Hey. I love Robin. Dude, do it right now. Just say it. Just say it.
Just say Robin Williams movie?
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Dude, this has to be a sign. This thing just fell.
Okay, yeah. We're doing Mrs. Doubtfire.
All right, so we got Robin Williams, and we got let's pick something else. What other performances would you want to see Robin Williams in, and we could talk about, because Mrs. Doubtfire is an awesome movie, and I already own it. So,
oh man, I would really like to do something that is Robin Williams, but
serious,
kind of serious. I was kind of thinking maybe Death to Smoochie, or there's one that is, oh gosh, it's like crazy serious where he goes to heaven. Have you seen that
it's called
What Dreams May Come?
Yes, that's okay. So we can do. All right, we got Robin Williams. We're focusing. Yep. Mrs. Doubtfire comedy. Do you want to compare it to another comedy, or do you want to compare it to a serious role of his? I mean, I love him in Good Will Hunting, but that's not him. And I've been watching a lot of Kevin Smith, so I got a lot of Ben Affleck in me.
Dead Poets Society. That's another one that's serious.
Who else is in it? Who else is in Dead Poets Society? Oh wait, no, he's not in it. He's not. Oh,
are you thinking of With Honors? Are you thinking of Bernard Fraser?
No, I think Dead Poets Society is Matt Damon, isn't he in that one?
No. That was Good Will Hunting.
No. It's
Dead Poets Society. It was Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke, yeah. Man. There we go. I thought it was I was trying to get who it was. Oh yeah, it's a little bit.
Let's see here,
dude. I'll watch Dead Poets Society, because I mean I would like to see where we can kind of get some range. Unless you want to do a comedy. Fisher King's good.
Let's see here. World According to Garp. I've never seen that, but
Jack is pretty good. Oh, I
How was
love it.
he in a movie called Seize the Day and then he was in Dead Poet Society? Sorry. Good Morning, Vietnam,
Vietnam.
Adventures of Baron Munchausen,
Popeye.
Popeye, Cadillac Man,
I like Cadillac Man. I like that one. Hook.
Shakes the Clown.
Hook. Oh, Shakes the
Oh,
Clown.
well, he was just, that was like a cameo.
See, I would pick Death is Smoochie, but that's more of an Edward Norton movie.
Yeah, Jumanji.
Jumanji, but I don't know.
What about Jack?
I would watch Jack. It would probably be it's a little. I would watch it. I watched it with my Aunt Sylvia. Yeah, I would totally watch Jack because I think I would think I would.
Bicentennial Man is another good one. Oh, dude, there's one movie he was in called House of D. Have you ever heard of that or seen that?
I don't know. Probably.
He plays a guy that's and it's directed by David Duchovny. Just to kind of give you an idea.
What year is it?
2004. He has something.
David Duchovny.
Yeah.
Molder, huh? By working through problems stemming from his past.
And it has Anton Yelnats, the guy who
he
got
passed away.
killed.
He's young.
Yeah.
You know, I know think about his death. The way he died is he had to get out. So he was going to he's going to his house, and his house, I guess the way his driveway is uneven, but the bottom part is at the top, so you have to walk down to the gate. So he got out of his Jeep and he got out and he walked to the gate, and he forgot
to do the emergency brake,
and it freaking smushed, or it pinned him against the rail. Now I have a Jeep Renegade, and I know he had the SUV one. I have the e-brake. Now twice it's happened to me where the e-brake didn't lock on, and I feel bad because one time was with Zane, where I met him at the Cherrywood to do some stand-up, and I parked like right in the front, and I got out of the vehicle and I came back and I'm like, "Hey Zane, how's it going?" And as I go around, like you park at the front where it's all like the patio, but it's blocked off, so you have to walk and go inside. As I turn around and I go inside, I come back outside the patio, I just see like my Jeep like rolling back. And I was like, oh, but it's like real slow. And I was like, oh, and everybody's looking at like, whose vehicle is that? And then sure enough, I go back, I turn it on, I make sure it's parked, and I do it right. And I come back, and then Zane's like, oh God, he's with me. like, oh, sorry, Zane. Yeah, I would, dude. I would like to do Jack, man, but I would like to do Jack only because it seems like it's supposed to be a.
He's a kid.
He's a kid, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also Patch Adams. So. But I think Jack didn't get enough love, and that's the only way.
I don't think he did either. Plus, Jennifer Lopez is in that.
I just the other one I'm getting is Danny DeVito. Have you seen that one where he plays? It's called Jack the Bear.
No,
dude, Jack the Bear's another. Oh, Danny DeVito, we gotta get to him somehow.
Yes.
I think we should. What do you call it? Yeah, here it is. 1993, Jack the Bear. It's basically about him and his two sons and how they lose their. Danny DeVito is John Larry, a professional clown whose wife's death in a car accident has left him to care for his two young boys. It's a dark one. It's kind of. I mean, it's a dark. It's got a dark feeling to it. But it's kind of. Oh, you know what? That is a good. I'm starting to remember about that movie. But I'll totally do Jack and
Mrs. Doubtfire, and they're kind of along the same lines. I feel like those would be because they're both kind of kid movies. You know, but not really. They're more about the adults.
You think what? Oh, I think with Jack.
Both of them,
dude. I'm gonna have to rewatch them. You're right. Yeah, I've seen.
Jackie is literally playing a kid that is in a man body, but you know, it's about the adults and how they kind of deal with it too. And he's having to he's has the body of an adult, so he gets treated like an adult.
I'm eager to find out on that. Is how I haven't seen. I saw the movie in the theaters. And Jack, and and now that I'm older and I understand better understanding about like mental health and whatnot, I would like to see that movie and see how because it is about like it's not. I mean, being a parent, like you have it where you have your children, they observe what adults do. This is an adult that is a child, or is a child that looks like an adult. So,
it's on Disney Plus.
Jack.
Yeah, and then Mrs. Doubtfire is on HBO.
We got it. It's in the books. Boom.
In the books.
That's in the books. We're going Robin Williams next time,
Thank you,
everybody.
Mr. Williams, for pushing that down and leading us in the right direction. I appreciate it.
Can I tell you that there's only one reason that it would fall, and that's if the books that were in the wall with the book, what do you call it, the end, the caps,
Bookends?
the bookends,
Yeah.
these don't fall, and somehow they fell. So hey, I think he was trying to say what's up. Hey guys, hey, we're here.
Hey.
So it's that was a cool little coincidence.
I mean, and that's how we do it here on Side by Side.
We just roll with it.
We roll with it. This is organic, and that was we had a plethora of people to choose from. I mean, we were talking about Gene Hackman, and then Robin Williams was like, "Hey, don't forget about me."
I got them right here. Like I'm right, and we talked about him because we talked about that album cover earlier because he said, "Hey, it popped out because of the green screen," and then now it's here. It's making an appearance. Anyways, all right. So we are moving on to Robin Williams. We just finished up Tombstone and Wyatt Earp. Both respectively 2 good movies. Combine them, you get a really good story. And next week we're moving on to Robin Williams, and we're doing Jack, and this is Doubtfire. So hey everybody, thank you for hanging in for season 2. Ben, let's do it. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. This has been Side by Side with Ben Garrett and
CJ Robles.
Hey, y'all have a beautiful evening. Thank you for coming in. And now we're going to sing our song.
Oh, and by the way, everybody, don't forget, season 1 is all up and running on YouTube. So just go to episode 2, Eddie Murphy, hit play, and then watch them all the way down.
Give it a listen. You don't have to watch everything. Just listen to it. And then put something down in the comments. That's what we're here for, too. We want to have a little bit of conversation with everybody, see what they think about movies.
Yeah. So we take suggestions.
Yes, we do. Now back to the song.
All right, guys. We'll see y'all later. Everybody have a good night.